Welcome back to another night of Stick with Koolfrogg. I do have Jimmy YouTube with me right now.
Hello.
Should be here pretty soon. He said he had some issues he had to deal with, which is totally fine. We let him. We'll leave him alone on that. He doesn't
We'll allow it
immediately here. This as long as he shows up eventually.
Oh.
That being said, Jimmy YouTube said that he had some news that he wanted to talk about. Why don't you go ahead and throw that, or actually, let's show yourself out, and then you can talk about it, and we can see if Shirt shows up for enough time to show himself out before we actually get into testimony from Dr. Fauci.
Oh, for sure. I'll be slow like Eeyore. You can follow me at the Atlas Pass on TikTok. Jimmy YouTube on YouTube. I have clinical depression.
Oh
Also,
me, oh my.
I'm on Twitter at RealAnimeRich. Thank you.
Woo, cheer up, buddy.
Bouncing's what niggers do best. That was garb.
So then the return of Steven Crowder. It sounded like he had gotten himself a few days off.
Yeah, 2 weeks, in fact.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. There's been a little bit of a void for some people. They've just been drifting. So a lot of people are happy he's back. And he is talking about a big thing that was trending on Twitter the other day, the hashtag expose Fauci. Project Veritas had come out with a very interesting video that you should go check out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not following Project Veritas, you're not doing anything correct right now.
Yeah, they are the sole piece of just amazing journalism in the United States today.
Right. Following all the right people and getting the correct information to the people that need to hear what's actually happening.
Yes, for real. A lot of people are waking up, though, and more channels like this are springing up all over the place, and I think there's going to be a mass community surrounding it.
Which is awesome. Love to hear it. Glad Crowder's back at it. There's shirts sitting in chat. You got to go hit up that link. Or what's going on, buddy?
Come on now.
That link's sitting in live chat on the Discord server. He's probably like, I don't see a link. He didn't catch the message from earlier where I said, hey, our link's now in live chat. Didn't get one. There he is. There's Shirts. How you doing, buddy?
Brother Shirts. Hello, friend.
Brother Shirts? That's my name.
Brother Shirts.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw the link in that same spot every day as opposed to sending it out to multiple people. If that makes sense. It just makes it easier on me as opposed to trying to remember to send the link to everybody.
No, I don't care. I want it to be the most difficult for you.
Same link.
Possible.
That is the most difficult for me to actually just put it in one spot. So that's where it's going to be. So we were going to go through some Fauci testimony. It looks like they talked for almost 4 hours today. We probably won't finish that. It's probably going to take us a few nights to actually complete that. That being said, Jimmy YouTube had a little bit of stuff that he wanted to share or whatever with the comeback of Crowder after being 2 weeks out. Did you want to show yourself out real quick? Did you have any other news that you wanted to talk about?
As far as news is concerned, I think the Fauci's thing is some of the biggest. That and the Veritas.
And that, right, and that's what
Type stuffs.
Jimmy threw out there with the Crowder. It was that he was actually talking about the Project Veritas stuff,
And even Twitter's response.
and we
to
told
it.
everybody that if they weren't following Project Veritas, they weren't doing YouTube correctly right now.
At this point, it's just breaking revelation after breaking revelation with these guys. Like, they're on top of it. People are scared of these guys. They're like, "Oh, please don't investigate us next."
Yeah, legit. But you could go to, actually, you should go to America Shirts.
You must go to
Our first.
America Shirts Our First.com.
You
The most based t-shirts on the planet.
We all
Grab
read
yourself
that.
one of these awesome shirts today, folks.
And while we're all here, don't forget to follow me. I'm Koolfrogg. I have a link tree that has so much stuff in it. It's ridiculous. If you want to help me out immediately, though, you should go to buymeacoffee.com/Koolfrogg. That's KOOLFROGG. We're just going to shill ourselves up for the next 20 minutes. No, just kidding.
Yo, the extra G is for extra game.
I do have another show that I actually try putting on during the day. I had one that I had premiered at 3 o'clock today. And for whatever reason, I boomered through it or whatever and didn't have my audio on. I did reproduce it and it put it out at 5 o'clock. I should have that out at 3 o'clock every day. That's under the Pickerel. Easy to find if you just put in the Pickerel there. I put the Pickerel in several times and I've only come up with myself. So that being said, maybe we should watch some testimony and we'll have some comments. I'm sure we're going to have lots of comments to go along with this testimony. It was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of it?
Oh, yeah, I watched some of it, yeah.
Okay. I watched the first, well, I suppose I watched the second hour of it. So some of this is going to be brand new off the top. And we're all going to have lots of thoughts to go along with it. The one that I found interesting was the hot mic. The hot mic where he actually calls the GOP guy a moron. If you guys didn't catch that one, I believe I retweeted that one.
Oh.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. When Fauci goes and calls somebody a moron and he forgets to turn off his mic, because each time that he goes to try talking or whatever, it seems like he forgets to turn it on. And they're like, your mic is off. And he's like, oh.
Okay.
Why are you sitting there, turning your mic on and off? If you have to turn your mic on and off the whole time or whatever, there must be something that you're hiding.
Like muttering.
Just leave your mic alone, and stop turning it on and off in between each one of them. It's not going to do anything for you to, it's not going to pick up everybody else in the room. There isn't that many other people that are right that close to that mic for it to pick it up. The only other people that are going to be picked up is anybody else that he's sitting there talking to in his own little spot. Just upsets me when I hear that kind of stuff. So.
Fauci's face upsets me at this point.
Well, yeah, that to put it simply, yeah, everybody's, should be.
It's like, how the hell are you still a free individual? Exactly. I guess what I
right. How is he? I just don't get it. So, like I said, there's 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 10 seconds of testimony. This is going to take us a few nights. Tonight, tomorrow night. Hopefully, we'll get it done well.
Let's go. 6-hour stream.
6-hour stream. I have to be up with my child, and so That's not going to happen. I'm not even going to do the whole 4-hour stream. I plan on getting to bed at a decent hour. So that being said, ready?
Guess so.
Okay, here we go.
Let's do it.
We are in with this pandemic. The Omicron variant has caused an unprecedented number of infections across the country over the past month.
Oh my God.
Thanks to the hard work of so many,
We start off with the number of infections. Oh, jeez. Oh my God.
We didn't even make it 11 seconds and you got something to say.
Oh, it's so painful.
It is. It's just painful to even hear. Because, I mean, they're counting the width.
It's like they tiptoe around.
Right, with the number. They're like, it's not that they're all, dying from. They're dying with. And they even go through that eventually.
we have new tools to address the threat.
Oh, that being said, we're not doctors. We're not trying to tell anybody what to do, how to do, or
Fauci
when
thinks
to
he
do.
is.
You should actually go see your doctor and do what's best for you. Thank you, Susan.
Caused by this new variant, including vaccines, boosters, and high-quality masks. But the sheer number of infections is putting an enormous strain on hospitals, healthcare workers,
Which is why they're all
schools,
dancing at the White House.
families, and communities across the country.
That's fine.
We all need to do our part to address this new challenge by getting vaccinated and boosted and wearing high-quality.
Jimmy.
Oh,
YouTube's
high
having
quality
issues,
now.
apparently. Yeah, high
Oh.
quality ones.
High quality. What is high quality, Miss Murray? The hell would high quality be to you?
The high grade medical masks is what they're getting at. They're saying that they're hard to come across and actually get right now. And I believe Fauci actually comes out and says there's not an issue. I don't know what you're talking about.
Masks. That is why we are having this hearing in a larger hearing room where we can be socially distanced, limiting the number of people who are here in this hearing room.
So everybody that's triple vaxxed in this room, plus wearing 1 or 2, maybe 3 masks, and
the
their
whole box,
social
he knows.
distance. What's the problem?
And taking additional measures such as wearing masks. I will be wearing my mask during the entire hearing and would respectfully request others in the room today do the same.
I don't give a damn what you do.
As always, I appreciate the work from the staff of the Sergeant at Arms, the
That's
architect
a
of the
damn power
Capitol,
move.
and our committee clerk and his staff to make this hearing as safe
So
as
that
possible.
being said, look across the room. See, there's mask. There's a mask. Oh, there's not one. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's not one. Not one. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. That's her. These people all have one. I don't think she has
That
one.
number change anywhere throughout this?
Where they actually remove masks?
Yeah.
Or yeah, Fauci continuously puts his on and off.
Possible.
Excellent.
Nearly
So
2
that
years
other's
into this
panning to the other
pandemic,
side of the room. They all have. I'm guessing she has one on. It looks like there's something going on there. But it looks like they all have them on over here. But, there's a couple of them that are just like, no.
people are exhausted after all we have been through. And even as the Delta strain is still circulating, we are all alarmed by how quickly Omicron has spread and anxious about what is next. People back in my home state of Washington and across the country are frustrated and worried about the course of this pandemic and its persistent challenges, like how hard it still is to get a test. I've heard from so many people who are waiting in long lines and going from pharmacy to pharmacy trying to find a test, or who are giving up on getting tested because tests.
But aren't they said something about the at-home tests that aren't always 100% accurate? I could be wrong, but I could have sworn I heard something about them saying that the at-home tests aren't 100%
Well,
accurate. If you're
one of
actually
the
concerned,
tests that
you
they
should actually
sell.
go to the hospital that's nearest you and actually take care of it there, which is maybe the overwhelming part.
One of the kits that they sell is a what is it called? Sodium something or other, and you're not supposed to touch it with your fingers. It's a swab, by the way.
Right. You're not. There's a lot of things that you're not supposed to do with it.
It's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Tests
Like,
are
I can't touch
unavailable
this. What am I?
or cost too
You know.
much.
Oh,
I've
there's that
also heard
bitch.
from people who have found the
Yeah,
communication
Miss
about new
Walensky actually
isolation
looks like
and
she has
quarantine
two masks
guidance
on.
confusing and frustrating. They are trying to keep themselves and their families safe as this pandemic evolves and we continue to learn more. But I'm hearing more and more questions
there he
like,
is,
what kind
Dr.
of test
Sickle.
should I get? When should I get tested? Why can't I find a test? Do I need to isolate 10 days, 5 days, or even at all? Testing in particular is a huge concern for parents who are starting 2022 exhausted from the last 2 years and worried about schools staying open safely this year. I know what a struggle it is for parents scrambling to figure out childcare when they've got to go to work, or how tough it
I'm
is
sure
for
you
kids
do.
to keep up
Why? How many children does she have?
Yeah, she probably aborted them all. What?
with classwork while transitioning back and forth
That's
from
just
in-person to
speculation.
online learning.
Allegedly.
And while most schools are still safely open for in-person learning, and we all want to make sure they stay that way, we know schools are struggling with this, especially as Omicron creates new challenges.
Jimmy, if you have anything to say, just speak up, bud.
Speak now, forever hold
I'm
your
hearing
peace.
from
Well,
schools in
don't
my
hold your
states
peace.
that
You
they're
got to speak
worried
up.
they'll have to shut down again if they can't get the support for testing they need, or they have
For
staff
sure.
shortages because of staff who are ill. Nobody wants that. And based on what we now know about this virus and the tools we have to fight it, schools should be able to stay open safely if they have tests, masks, ventilation, and people are vaccinated.
Now, most of the schools in the United States have been built, so long ago, especially the elementary schools, like so long ago, that proper ventilation in any of those schools is pretty much non-existent. Because back then they didn't think of anything like that. Most of the rooms are smaller than what's required for space anyway. So I would almost assume that there's a lot more overwhelming factors than what they're actually pushing.
That's why we have the
What do these
outdoors,
guys
so you can all just
expect?
sit outside in your desks.
What's
What do
that,
these
Jimmy?
guys expect parents to do with their kids? Like, they can't
No,
go to
right.
work
I
if their
mean,
kid can't go to school half the time.
right.
They don't
Even
want them to teach
up
their
here
own
in the
kids either.
cities, whatever, there was a couple, like, they were actually trying to say that they were going to, potentially, go back to homeschooling or what at home, public schools, whatever type thing. And parents are complaining. They're like, we don't have the time to actually, take care of this. We have jobs we have to get to. We have things that we have to do. We don't have time to sit at home with the children and make sure that they're actually doing their homework and actually logging on. If they had issues logging on, helping them with that or whatever. Um,
Much less checking in on those sketchy Zoom classes.
right, right. And paying attention to what the other side of the conversation is actually having, whether they
Right.
care what the other side of the conversation is or not. What they're actually trying to, ideologically push on these children.
But that's more getting into the schools and with the subject at hand.
Right.
Hospital and healthcare providers are worried too. They've been stretched thin after 2 exhausting years, and now Omicron is causing the worst surge in cases and hospitalizations yet.
But I thought they said the Omicron wasn't as whatever as the Delta
That's
was.
bunk. It's completely bunk. There's one person that died from it, and then they retracted that person.
From the Omicron?
Yep.
Yeah.
But hey, Senator Murray says something different, and I watched CNN, and They said something different
Suck
too,
a
so
cock.
sorry.
Who I don't know who this Jimmy YouTube guy is. He just kind of hopped in here.
Shit, I got disowned.
Now it's on you. Woo.
So before we move on, anybody that is watching us, paying attention to us, make sure that you share, like, and ring the bell.
Ding-a-ling.
Because while it may be less severe in most cases, especially for those who are vaccinated and boosted, it is much more contagious, meaning we are still seeing high rates of hospitalization overall. And we also have to protect children who are too young to get vaccinated.
So what happened to the first variant and the second variant, the third variant? Are they still?
Well, no, I'm
Do
no
they no
medical
longer
expert,
exist?
but I
No,
thought
none of us are.
a disease. I thought that a disease can only go through so many variants before it kills itself. Right? Like it basically adapts out of itself.
Well, this is supposed to be a variation. Well, this is like, I mean, if you look at the Greek alphabet, they've been through like a million of them. And then here's this one. And I mean, I don't mean a million literally, but you know.
You're right. We understand what you're saying. They're on our. We are on our fifth variant or whatever. So I mean, that's the way I catch it. Or actually, that's right. They actually produced a new one. They actually talk about the new one. It's the combination of the Omicron and the Delta.
The Deltacron. Transform and roll out.
Oh, Grim, go to Discord and hit the live
Oh, Grim wants
chat
to rant.
text. The link is in there. You can totally come in here whenever you're ready.
And people with health conditions and disabilities that put them at high risk. Back in my state, hospitals are asking our state leaders to declare a crisis for our medical facilities. I've heard from healthcare providers in Washington who have been well over their staffed bed capacity for several days and are pausing non-essential procedures. Families are wondering whether they can get care for non-COVID related conditions and alarmed by how long ER wait times are getting. Healthcare providers are concerned about how we continue to keep healthcare workers safe and also address the fatigue and burnout and mental health challenges that they face. These are not new challenges. I've been raising many of these concerns since the earliest days of the pandemic. So I'm frustrated we're still behind on issues as important to families as
Who are
testing
these other two
and
freaks?
supporting schools.
Forget.
That's not to say we have not made progress. It's just clear we haven't made enough.
Don't really know.
But even
I
though
would
we
assume
aren't
that
where we
we
need
would
to
see
be yet,
names
we are not
eventually.
back at the starting line when it comes to COVID-19 either. We have safe and effective vaccines for everyone ages 5 and up. We have booster shots available for those 12 and up. More and more people are getting their shots each day. The administration is also working to help get the world vaccinated to end this pandemic and has already pledged over 1 billion vaccine doses to that effort. We have new life-saving therapeutics. We have additional resources Congress passed in the American Rescue Plan, which can help increase our testing capacity, protect
The
workers,
American
and
Rescue
get schools the
Plan.
support they need to stay
Oh
safely
my God,
open.
I'm gonna cry.
And we have an administration that is focused on following
They're so
the science,
loving up there in the
facing this
Senate.
pandemic head on, and addressing the frustration people.
Yeah, all of those senators are just super lovely. They love everybody.
Oh yes, they just.
Oh,
Oh
here
God,
we go.
it's so beautiful.
Grim. What's up, man?
Hey,
How you
what's
doing?
good?
Grim?
Well, I think the Omicron got him, so let's
Okay, there it is.
sorry, that's.
Link me, daddy. What's up?
How you
Where
doing?
we at? Say again?
How you
We're at
doing?
the point when we hate Fauci. That's where we're at.
Oh,
Dr. Sigel.
Did you have any thoughts in the first 5 minutes and 43 seconds of this 3 hours and 57 minutes that we're going through?
Does anybody else think the blonde looks like she's a horse eating from one of those like fucking face feeders?
No,
Like
that's
she's
you.
eating fucking corn out of her with her fucking horse teeth. Like what is this?
I don't know. She just kind of looks like a freaking, I don't know, a penguin to me right now. I mean, you know.
We're gonna vote with the yays and nays. The nays have it.
Man.
Emotional. Damn.
Okay.
Oh, alrighty, do it.
Oh, I'm not in the right
People are
screen.
feeling. That is crucial at this moment when the path
what did I
forward
do?
requires
It's
steady
like slow
leadership
motion there.
and clear communication
Oh,
about
what's
the
that?
challenge
What's
we
that?
are still facing and the work ahead to tackle it. President Biden has said plainly
You
that
see
he
nothing.
shares families' frustration around testing, and he wants to make sure schools
You're the
stay safe
freak.
to open.
Dr. Woodcock.
And he has announced steps to
Miss
address these
O'Connell.
challenges by
The hell are
making
you?
500 million
keep
tests
forgetting.
available free of charge, ordering
Because
over
most of the time, I don't
200
think we
million
focused on that.
courses of antivirals, expanding manufacturing to be able to make hundreds of millions of tests a month, providing schools with guidance on how to test to stay protocols, which can help
Who's
keep
making the
students in the
tests?
classroom, standing up more testing and vaccine.
Some company.
Okay, because I want
Or
to know their
two.
number, like their actual stock. I want to know their stock.
Oh, right.
Well, I mean, the mandate's coming in, right? So it would make absolute sense that whoever gets the contract, keep an eye, and as soon as that contract hits, fucking buy in. Like
Right.
that's
Right.
instant.
Who's
Like
got
no
the
doubt.
contract? We need to know right now. Anybody that's out in the chat, while you're sharing, liking, and ringing the bell, make sure you go and let us know who's got the contract because we all want in.
Yeah, I mean it's even with Operation Warp Speed, right? There were 3 companies that were creating, the Pokey Pokes, and so if you had invested in all 3, you would have been fine. Like actually, way above fine.
Right.
Talking
Yeah.
8,000%.
Even if you had just
return.
$1 put in, you'd be amazing where you'd be at right now.
Yeah, it'd be like
And
$8,000.
you thought Bitcoin was worth it.
Well, not 8,000. Sorry, like
No,
I think
right.
it'd be at like
But
80.
right, you'd have a
80,
nice
something
chunk
like
of
that.
change, right?
Yeah.
Bill Gates is like, damn those
Pocket
people.
to these people.
Vaccination sites across the country and providing medical personnel to struggling areas.
Take my money.
I expect to hear more detail on those efforts today, along with what other steps the administration plans to take. And I will be watching closely as they are implemented. But I also want to be clear, when we talk about these problems, we have to be focused
I
on
don't know how
solutions.
close you can get to
You
anything,
can't
sweetheart,
just
without
say
mask.
our schools must stay open if you don't vote to provide additional resources. Schools need to do so. You can't just say the latest health guidance is confusing and not call out the blatant misinformation that has come from so many members of the Republican Party. We're not going to get out of this crisis by treating each challenge as a political opportunity.
Which is why you just did.
That's
See
the
how that worked
exact thought
out?
that was in my head. So if it's not a political opportunity, why is it a political thing that's going on right now?
We're going to get
Who's
through
from,
it by being honest about what we are facing and clear about what we are going to do about it.
Honesty.
And as we
she
continue
says.
working to get through this pandemic, it's important we also look at what we can do to prevent future health crises. That is exactly why Senator Burr and I have been working in a bipartisan way over the last several months on legislation to learn from and improve on our pandemic response, like strengthening our supply chain for medical products, updating old and incompatible public health data systems, modernizing the process for developing tests, fighting misinformation, addressing root causes of health inequities, and more. We will be unveiling a discussion draft soon, and I look forward to working with all of our colleagues to finalize and pass this
I'm
important
sure you
package. In the meantime, we will continue working to address the pandemic at hand. People across
So is this
the
the
country
Senate
are
talking?
worried this.
Say that again.
Senate?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fauci's testifying in front of the Senate.
Okay, so Senate, not Sorry, my S's are fucked. So
No.
it's not the Senate. Okay, so it's a Senate,
we
not
all
the.
understand.
Okay, so it's not the. It's
Just own the
Senate.
Mike Tyson, bro. Just own it. Own it.
Yo, you're a piece of shit. You know that.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
uh
We shouldn't be. We're laughing with you.
huh. Uh huh. Uh huh.
Will be another year of uncertainty. Uncertainty for their work, their schools, and their everyday lives. But there's no reason it should be. People should be able to make plans for the future without fearing that everything they are looking forward to, or even the everyday things they used to take for granted, will be upended by this virus. We all want that, and we have the tools we need to get us there. We have the tools to get everyone tested quickly,
Oh, I know you
easily,
want
and for
that.
free. To keep schools safely open during the Omicron surge and beyond. To keep workers, especially our
Surge.
healthcare workers, safe and healthy in the workplace.
To Omicron
We
and
have the
beyond.
tools to mitigate this virus, to protect those at high risk, like seniors or kids who are too young to get vaccinated, and people with other health conditions. To
Or
get
for
people
Just
back to
assume
their
anybody
friends.
that's not jabbed is just, they're just dead.
I'll get those Autobots.
Oh wait.
Okay, honest question. Honest question.
Ooh.
I don't think I can ask it here.
Oh, put it in private chat.
Okay. Let me go to
and their
private
lives,
chat real
and to
quick.
give families back
Good
some certainty
save.
and stability.
Yeah,
We
that
can
was
do
good.
all this now thanks to the incredibly hard work on the part of healthcare providers and scientists, parents and teachers, workers, and our witnesses who are here with us today. So what I hope to hear from this administration at this hearing is, what are you doing right now to make sure every American can make use of that progress they've worked so hard for? What can my constituents expect to see improve
That's a
this
good
week
question.
and the week after?
Mm-hmm. But you
We've
can't
come
ask
a
it
long
here.
way since the start of
Right.
this pandemic. And I look forward to hearing from each of you today about what you're going to do to build on what we know, bring this virus under control, and bring certainty and stability back to families who are burnt out after 2 years of fighting this pandemic. Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to Ranking Member Burr for his opening remarks.
Madam Chairman, thank you. And before my opening statement, I hope the chair will indulge with me for just a second, since this.
So this is what I like. If you actually look at this guy right here, and look at this guy right here, you notice they're the ones that are like, whatever. Everybody else is kind of.
Oh.
There's like one guy over here that wasn't wearing one either, but you can see these two, clear as day, are the few that are like, I'm not wearing the diaper. Again, Susan.
Is that
Again, Susan,
Rand
we're
on
not
the
all
left?
doctors. None of us are doctors. We're not trying to tell anybody what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Everybody should actually go see their own doctor and do what's best for them. That being said,
Yes.
Yeah, this is just a
Visit
this is
your
just a bunch of
local
laymen's having a
bovine
bar
expert.
talk. Say again, bro?
Oh, I was telling Susan that if she needs anything, she should visit her local bovine expert in the veterinary hospital and do what's best for her.
That's an equestrian clinic.
Yeah, isn't Bovice?
Well,
like
just
a
to
cat?
ask her, just ask her boyfriend.
Sorry, an
Shank.
equine
They'll
clinic.
they'll figure it out.
yeah, an equine clinic.
Shank yogurt?
Yeah, does he believes in bestiality? So
Wait, Shank does?
Yeah, yeah,
Wait, what? Go on.
yeah.
Go on. There's no way.
Straight up, dog.
What?
You've never
Yeah,
heard
we're
of
calling
this?
you out, Chank. Come on. Bring
No,
it.
I've never heard
Oh
of
my
this.
god!
Bring
I'm
it
not
to your
just the type
followers.
you said-
with you.
To see this too, it's like, oh, we're talking about me. Of course I do.
What?
This is a hearing on preparation.
Preparation H feels good on the whole.
My good friend Senator Kane, as he gets ready for his weekly travel.
That being said, I ran across a meme the other day that was on the Twitter, and it just made me laugh so hard. I'm angry at myself that I didn't actually save it so I could share it out. And young lady walks up to the doctor and says, "Doctor, my butt hurts. It hurts right at the entrance." And the doctor says, "It's going to continue to hurt until you stop calling it an entrance."
Travels. I want to make sure that he's got an orange for his
By the way,
car,
look how ridiculous this
that
is.
he's got a Dr. Pepper, and I've provided a Lumbee blanket to make sure that these
Is
are three
this real
things
life?
you've got in your car, regardless of what you run into.
I
on
got an orange, a
95.
Dr. Pepper, and
I'll
a
have my-
fucking blanket. Who wants to go camp?
Hell no.
What the hell?
These are the three things that you should have in your car at all times.
You gonna get snowed in and survive off a Dr. Pepper for water? You idiot.
This doctor's about as relevant as the other doctor in the room.
Oh,
Look,
yeah.
that is 23 flavors of Corona, okay?
And it'll probably kill you just as quick. What?
Hashtag not sponsored.
Staff bring them over to you.
I hope you provide those
Hashtag
for
expose
everyone. As we
Fauci.
used to say to our kids in the classroom, do you have a piece of gum for everyone?
Well, in
Ooh,
his
gum is
particular
fine.
case, I think
Mints
he's
are
the only
neat.
one that makes that trip on a weekly basis. Tim, we're sorry you had to spend 27 hours, but you're now qualified to be the Secretary of Transportation if you're looking for a second job.
Thank you. It's sad when a career in the Senate's most notable highlight is my long commute, but
They're joking.
Madam Chairman, thank you.
They're
for
joking
holding this
around.
hearing to our
Oh,
witnesses.
Oh, wait,
Welcome
they
back.
all
him?
have it?
Oh, God.
Today's going to be a tough hearing.
Go back,
That's
go
No,
back.
freak.
this guy.
the other
that
guy
was
have
sitting-
one
This
too?
guy that's
Oh.
Go
sitting
back,
behind
go
Burr
back.
picked it up and brought it over to that other guy because that's what he brought it in for.
Oh.
No, go back. Go back like 15 seconds.
This
So
is hardly
10:59. We'll go to here. See, he's got the stuff sitting in
Okay,
here.
the
right?
bag.
It's
Okay.
right, a blanket, an orange, and a Dr. Pepper.
And two cows behind
Staff
him,
bring
okay?
over to you.
I hope you provide those for everyone. As we used to say to our kids in the classroom, do you have a piece of gum for everyone?
I'll provide those for everyone.
Well, in his particular case, I think he's the only one that makes that trip on a weekly basis. Tim, we're sorry you had to spend 27
think she
hours,
was
but you're
joking
now
either.
qualified to be the Secretary
She's
of
like,
Transportation. if you're
excuse me,
looking for a second.
You're going to give
Excuse
that to
me,
someone?
as a
You
woman.
give
No,
me one too,
The actual
or else.
Secretary of Transportation should actually
I'll
be
get a ruler out
feeling
and slap your
very,
hand.
very disturbed right now that he actually offered that position up to Tim.
Naughty, naughty, naughty.
Oh, you can't make jokes.
Job.
thank you. It's sad when a career in the Senate's most notable highlight is my long
Anybody else
commute.
like
Yes,
looking
it
at all
is
the
sad, Tim Kaine. Yes, it is. It's the only damn thing you're remembered for is being Hillary Clinton's bitch and then running in the Senate. That's it.
I'm glad we're like only like 37
It's the only
minutes into
damn
this.
thing you'll be remembered for.
We're only 11 minutes in. This will be great.
We ain't even
Madam
11
Chairman, thank
minutes.
you
God, I hate all these
for
people
holding this
except
hearing
Ripple.
to our witnesses. Welcome back.
I'm sorry.
Today's going to be a tough hearing.
These oranges help
American
my
people
skin
deserve
pock.
Accountability and transparency.
Corn Pop
I
was a
appreciate
bad
that
dude.
all of you have cleared your schedules to allow
Mhm.
multiple rounds of
Blemish.
questions today. Next week marks
Cleared
1 year
your
of this
schedules?
administration. It also marks
Cleared.
2 years
This orange cleared my
since the
skin
first
like it did
COVID
your
case was
schedule.
confirmed.
Welcome to
President
this.
Biden said in his first, second, and third priorities would be bringing us out of COVID pandemic and that his team would shut down the virus. This administration was lucky. It started off on day one with the tools to change the trajectory of COVID response. Operation Warp Speed worked with the private sector to bring us groundbreaking vaccines and treatments in record time.
Yeah, what's going on?
Although we had a very bumpy start with testing early in the pandemic, we successfully built some strong partnerships with the private sector to support the development and manufacturing of more tests. State and local leaders
Now,
were
if we
rising to
do
the
a
challenge
really
of
great
testing and
job
vaccinating their
on
citizens.
new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. What? Who was that? Oh, that was Bill Gates. Sorry. Shut
There was
up, Bill
reason
Gates.
for hope. Instead,
It's
now,
not
a
your
full
time to
year
talk right
later,
now.
here's where we are. More than 830,000 deaths caused by COVID, the majority of which occurred under this administration, despite having many tools and significant resources from Congress, including $80 billion plus for testing. A variant is now spreading out of control across the country, with places like Washington, D.C. seeing a staggering increase in case counts over the holidays, and now my state of North Carolina is following suit with a 319% increase as of yesterday. Over the holidays, when Americans were instructed to do the responsible thing and get tests before they see loved ones,
See, like,
there were no tests
he's not
done
wearing a
by
mask
us
now when he's
or
talking.
online. And hours long
That's when you're
you know,
supposed to wear it.
were the norm at
But
testing sites
when you're
across
not,
the
like,
country.
he puts it back on.
The
It's like
testing situation was
then there's
worse
no point.
when many saw
You're
There's
supposed
no
to wear it when you're talking.
fucking
to work
point.
or to school.
Yeah.
And the most
Self-defeating.
vulnerable Americans who contracted the virus could not get the treatments designed to help because they were
But
now
we don't know
issuing
According to
that.
your logic, anyway,
This
Mister.
It's like
administration
trying to
has
dry your
time
hands
again
on a turd,
squandered
after you
its
wash them.
opportunities and made
I mean,
worse
it's what they fucking do.
in the decisions you've made on testing and treatment, and most crucially, in communications with the American people. The American people are right to be confused. It seems like you all don't talk amongst yourself. Some examples. Last August, the president announced that boosters would be available to all vaxxed by the week of September 20th. 3 of you here today signed that statement, but neither the FDA nor the CDC had yet approved boosters when the president made the promise. And when you went to your advisory panels with a predetermined outcome already made, those independent experts pushed back and
God,
ultimately had to be
this is the
overridden
argument of
to
the
meet
hour.
the president's goal on boosters. I
This
know
is
the
the
data
hill to
shows
die
that
on.
boosters
Yeah,
are
yeah.
necessary. I'm boosted. I want everybody to get vaccinated and boosted.
Base
The
booster.
facts about the
And
value of
Fauci is
vaccines
very
and boosters
thankful.
are crystal clear. But the way this administration rolled out boosters was a disaster. You created skepticism and mass confusion. Example 2, last summer the president dramatically announced that CDC recommendations changed so that vaccinated Americans didn't need to wear masks indoors, implying that the worst of the pandemic was behind us. Even as the Delta variant was exploding in India, only after Delta hit America did CDC begin to take it seriously, and the administration had to change course. Example
If they
3.
say South Africa
Last
instead
week,
of Scotland, I'm gonna lose my shit. It was
Dr. Fauci
Scotland.
said that the CDC was going to update its guidance on quarantine. He left the American people with the impression that CDC's guidance was going to include some testing component to reduce the quarantine to 5 days. But when CDC did update its guidance, there wasn't a testing requirement. Again, I'm not questioning the science. I'm glad you refrained from testing mandates. But I'm questioning your communication strategies. It's no wonder it's no wonder that
It makes his ears look even bigger when he's got that mask on because it's pulling his ears forward.
Destroy the
the American
child.
people are
I'm
confused.
sorry, that
When the
That's what
president
So-
announced on
that
December
mask
pause
21st
real
that
books the
500
hell out of me. Can you that one? We need to keep that one clip tab.
So
You know the clip with how you know what she says.
mm,
Sure.
no, I mean you can send it to me if you want. I'll check it out.
Oh,
But
dude, you
there's
haven't
a
seen
major
the chick
issue with
talking
the
about
testing.
math?
No, I haven't seen it. Like I actually haven't seen it. I'm not being facetious. I'm actually being serious.
Okay.
How do I phrase this properly?
I don't know.
Very carefully.
Yes, I called the state legislature and brought up some questions back in I think June of this year. And basically under GINA, Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, the way kind of stuff played through, basically it's illegal for them to waive testing for people who are jabbed, but still enforce people who aren't. Right? Because then it's a privilege. It's just really weird, and I'll go through it later with you guys in Discord. But it's a legal interpretation from some layman who's just kind of looking at it. So this isn't advice or anything like that. It's just a question, like a inquiry, I guess. But I ended up asking them, and they got back to me, and I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty interesting." And I haven't really heard anything back from it, but it's just something that I'll show you guys later.
Okay.
100 million tests were going to be purchased. He left out that the contract wasn't going to be signed for weeks, and it would take even longer for those tests to materialize. Immediately, other experts and medical professionals were asking what the value of just 1.5 tests per person was when CDC's own guidance said that you need multiple at-home tests to be assured of the results. Yesterday, the administration mandated that insurers now cover the 170 million Americans that are covered by private insurance. They must cover up to 8 tests per person per month. That would be 16 billion tests. And we have 500 million today that are aspirationally going to be contracted for. It's still unclear when these tests will be available, how to get them.
Invest,
whether
invest,
any more
invest.
are
That's what I'm
underway.
hearing.
But it's especially frustrating that the White House press secretary had previously mocked the very idea of doing what the president later announced. In a sarcastic and withering tone, when this was first proposed, she had 4 questions. Whether we should just send one to every American, then what happens, how much does it cost, what happens after that? Those are all good questions that remain unanswered by the administration. My final example, though there are many to choose from, happened last week too. The White House press secretary, a repeat offender in poor communications, was asked about boosters. The press secretary said, and I quote, "They can get boosted now regardless of what CDC guidance is, whether you're just approved or for a booster or you've been approved for weeks," end quote. Regardless of what CDC guidance is.
Just putting that
From the White House podium. And then I was amazed when I got home on Sunday and I had this letter from Centers
Just
for Medicare and
get
Medicaid Services
Fauci,
telling me as a
Fauci,
Medicare
people.
beneficiary
God.
that I'm eligible to get a free vaccine booster. 5 months after the president announced we're going to have boosters, this is the first communication from CMS that I've gotten as a Medicare beneficiary in the 2 years of COVID. And all of a sudden I get a request to get boosted.
This guy's on Medicare. Oh, God.
When a
Why
Republican
is
governor
Congress on fucking
or a
Medicare?
I
former
could
senator,
scream.
including some on this committee, suggests
Fuck off.
concerns
But
about
I
CDC guidance, Twitter and MSNBC
Sorry,
can't
I'm about to
react
lose my
fast
shit.
enough with scorn and anger.
No, exactly. It's both. That's a bunch of bull, really. I mean, well, he's on Medicare, but he's got plenty of money where he could actually just go buy his own private healthcare.
Yeah, it's unacceptable.
That would actually get him the information that he needed. And
But how could you rob from your children to make them pay for your health care?
It's kind of disturbing because, me being unemployed for as long as I have been and not having benefits to actually fall on or anything like that, it leaves me with no health care whatsoever. Not even the state, because I'm in Minnesota, not even the MNsure, nothing. None of that will actually come close to even covering me because we're a family of 3, and supposedly my wife makes too much money to actually get us covered on that. So, I mean, it's kind of confusing when you think about it.
That's one of those situations
when my
where
wife is making more than enough for 3 of us, but this guy gets Medicare.
Yeah.
So it can't come as a surprise that there is confusion and anger when the White House says to ignore CDC guidance. I tell my staff, as I've repeatedly said to you,
his tie is fucking atrocious.
to look 30, 60, 90 days ahead. Look 6 months ahead. Look abroad.
like
See what's
dog
happening
owners.
in Asia,
It's
Europe,
like
Israel,
fucking Red
Africa,
Rocket.
UK, and elsewhere around the world. What do we need to anticipate? At our hearing on July 20th, I warned that Delta would not be our last variant. And I pleaded with each of you to have a plan in place for the next mutation of the virus. So why was the Vice President surprised that Omicron came to our shores? Well, I'll say it's very clearly.
Why do I feel like this guy's
So
an
the administration
establishment
does
crony?
not yet again say they're surprised.
I don't know.
Viruses change, viruses mutate.
What would give
There
that
will be
away?
more variants. They will come to America, period, end of sentence. I don't understand why after tens of billions of federal dollars being appropriated, this administration has failed to ensure that the Americans have the tests they need. I don't understand why suddenly it's okay to take into account the economic and job impact of your guidance and recommendations. You shortened the quarantine guidance because too many people would be out of work. Was that because of science, or was it because you now know that lockdowns, shutdowns, and school closures come with a significant downside impact? You ask the American
He
people
doesn't
to
even know
trust
what the
you.
hell he's talking about. He's reading off a damn piece
Quite
of paper.
frankly, you've lost their trust.
Criminal.
It's like
Rather
the rest
than
of these people.
attempting to gain their trust back,
Go
Except
back
for
to
Paul.
selling
the
farmers
administration
equipment.
chooses
Is he actually asking questions, or is he just making a statement?
He's just
Rhetorical.
making a statement.
He's literally
He
testifying.
used.
He's reading off his.
He was a sales manager for lawn equipment company in 1994. He was finally elected to the House of Representatives. So he's been there 26 years in government. He was born in 1955. So this dude is what? Pushing 70?
Sure.
67?
He's 68.
Put the cap on that. Well, 55, yeah. November 30th, yeah. He'd be 68 now. But,
Ridiculous.
yeah.
chooses to litigate mandate requirements for employers with over 100 employees. I've asked before, what's the plan? Never gotten a response. Very seldom do I get a letter responded to by this administration. The administration's not responded to my letters. Maybe folks
Anybody
at
else
the
get
White
a
House
George
don't
Bush,
think they need
like George W. vibe off of his like smirks and his mannerisms? Like he takes after George W.
Well, you think they're cousins?
No, I'm just saying. No, like DeSantis does Trump. I'm getting that from him with W.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, I
maybe a
get what
little.
you're actually saying with that.
Yeah, if you go back
Except
about
he's
10
here.
seconds, you could see it. You go back about 10, 15 seconds.
I see what you're saying, though. I mean, even just now, whatever, when you actually think about it, you're like, yeah, I can kind of see it.
to respond to
Yeah, like he
Republican
models his
senators.
mannerisms.
I think my record shows I'm approaching
What
all
state
of
is
this
the
as I have
senator
for
out
the
of?
last 20 years.
North
South
Carolina.
I love this
Yeah,
country,
yeah.
love its people,
North Carolina.
and I know we can do
Same thing.
better than we've done. I
Same
know
difference.
we have to do better. Maybe I'm wrong about this.
I'm joking.
Maybe you'll tell me where I got it wrong. Instead, I'm hoping that you'll
God,
understand
honey,
that
you
my
don't want me to
criticism
tell you
comes
where
from
you
a
got
place
it
of
thinking
concern,
wrong.
because the communication efforts are a mess.
Bird
And have only
temporarily
made
stepped down
things
from.
worse.
Can you pause?
Now,
Bird temporarily stepped down from the chair of the Intelligence Committee May 15, 2020, amid FBI investigations into the allegations of insider trading during the Koolfrogg pandemic. On January 19, 2021, the Department of Justice announced the investigation had been closed with no charges against Burr. So this guy had investigations for insider trading. I
Oh, God,
wonder.
Dan Crenshaw has more insider trading than even Nancy Pelosi. I just saw that today. It's
Man,
ridiculous.
so this is something I will.
And that
brought
takes a
up
lot,
earlier
by
in
the way. That
Discord.
takes a lot.
Well,
to
this is
beat
something I
that
brought up
bitch.
in Discord, right? I mean, the Constitution says, you require a supermajority to impeach. But what does that mean? That only means you need 1/3 to be corrupt. You just need to break 1/3 corrupt with insider trading, and they can't do anything about it. Think about that. Founders fucked up. Anyway.
I admit it. I'm at the end of my rope. I think you'll see today that most of my colleagues are as well. I've tried to give my best advice and share what we hear and what we see, because no one's paying attention to the message from this administration right now.
The message.
Maybe today you respond to my request to learn what the plan is. Hopefully you'll take this challenge to rebuild the trust, not just with me, not just with my colleagues.
People aren't listening
but
to
with the
buy what the
American
government
people we
told them
all
to
serve.
buy. I don't know why they're not buying the stocks. I mean, what I
What are
told
you
them to
changing and fixing to restore the confidence with the American people that there is a strategy for testing, for treatments, for fixing your communication
For
strategy?
trusting.
Because if you don't, things are going to get worse before they get better. Madam Chairman, I yield back.
That trust is
Thank
irreparable
you,
to a
Senator
degree.
Burr. We will now introduce today's
think.
witnesses. Dr. Rochelle Walensky is the Director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Administrator of the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry.
We know.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and the chief medical advisor on President
Her on the
Biden's
Your
left, though,
contestants.
COVID-19
she's
response team.
actually been
Dr. Janet
honest. Like
Woodcock is the acting commissioner
looking
of
through
the
the
Food and
past,
Drug
I don't think I've seen
Administration.
a single thing where
Don
she actually
O'Connell is the
like
assistant
misled.
secretary for preparedness.
Fauci, on the other hand, something different.
Oh God, you haven't been watching. I guess maybe you have
What,
to take
her-
that. Oh my God,
Her on the left, like her
the
specifically,
CDC director.
the one that's in like the light blue.
The lady with the lady with the black hair beside Dr. Sickle.
Yeah, see,
You
I don't
talking
trust
about
them
that
eyes.
Asian smoke show over there?
You can hit left on the D-pad. Go back.
Her.
Yeah, her. Yeah.
She's awful.
Really?
In my
Let's
humble
back that
opinion,
far.
of
of the
course.
Food and Drug
EPAD.
Administration.
Okay, hold
Don
on.
O'Connell is the assistant
Only
secretary
my
for
humble opinion
preparedness and
says this.
response. And Director Walensky, Director
Doesn't mean my humble
Fauci,
opinion's
acting
entirely
Commissioner
incorrect,
Woodcock,
but you know, hey,
and
it's just my
Assistant
humble opinion.
Secretary O'Connell. I want to thank you all for joining us today. We all look forward to your testimony.
She said a
We'll
lot of
begin
stuff
with
that went
Dr.
against what
Walensky
Fauci
on
said.
your opening
I've
statement.
noticed that several times throughout
Good
the past
morning,
couple years.
Chair Murray, Ranking Member
Yeah,
Burr,
chick
members
got
of the Senate
bored.
Health
Like, she
Committee.
basically called
I
his
appreciate
ass
the
out.
opportunity to join you.
Yeah, she's called his ass out several times, like with different facts than what Fauci put out. So I find her more trustworthy than him, but that's just me.
To provide an update on the COVID-19
That's not
pandemic
I
me.
haven't
and
heard
the
enough
impact
from her.
of
I
the
need
Omicron
to
variant.
hear some more.
It has been just over 2 years since we were first alerted to the emergence of SARS-CoV-2 in China. And since that time, CDC has worked with our partner agencies and you in Congress to take remarkable action to protect the health and safety of Americans. Omicron is now the dominant variant in the United States, driving case counts to unprecedented heights here in the United States and around the world. Despite the increases in
Give me
cases,
the
there are
death numbers.
promising emerging data from South Africa and the United Kingdom that hospitalization rates for people infected with Omicron are lower compared with prior variants. These data seem consistent with what we're seeing so far in the United States. However, despite a potential decrease in severity, the substantial number of absolute cases is resulting in hospitalization increases across all age groups, including children aged 0 to 4. The emergence
Okay,
of the
hold on.
0 to
It seems
4.
that there's two versions of Jimmy YouTube in here. I'm going to shut this one off. I'm going to turn this one on and see if that fixes his issue.
Hey, Jimmy.
What's going on, Jimmy?
Hello?
Oh,
Jimmy.
Jimmy has mutated. He has variants.
Oh no.
Is he the Deltacron variant? Deltacron.
he's
We
just
love-
over there like growling and purring.
And then
He's
he dropped
flatlined.
out again.
He went back to South Africa and mutated.
It's so funny. He uses like two phones. I don't know why.
What is he
Omicron
borrowing his wife's
variant
boyfriend's?
again emphasizes the importance of vaccinations and boosters, which decrease the risk of infection,
He's like-
severe disease, and death caused by COVID-19.
No.
Just last
not
week,
this
we
again.
made important progress
There's
towards
Tuesday
increasing booster coverage
Collins.
through four key actions.
God.
First,
stand
we
this.
expanded eligibility of booster doses to those 12 to 15 years old. Second, CDC strengthens its booster recommendation for adolescents, now recommending that adolescents aged 12 to 17 years old should receive a booster shot 5 months after their initial Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine series. Third, we recommended that moderately or severely immunocompromised 5 to 11-year-olds receive an additional primary dose of vaccine 28 days after their second shot. And fourth, we shortened the recommended time between a primary mRNA series and a booster dose from 6 months to 5 months. Each action increases access to vaccines and booster doses at a time when protection is critical. As we continue to monitor this rapidly evolving virus, we are working quickly to adapt with it. Over the holidays, CDC updated our quarantine and isolation guidance, first for healthcare workers and then for the general public. I know this update has resulted in numerous questions, so I would like to take a moment to walk through it now. For people who tested positive for COVID-19, CDC recommends isolation for 5 days. If you are asymptomatic or if your symptoms are resolving, for example, you're without a fever for 24 hours, you no longer need to isolate. However, you should continue to wear a well-fitting mask at all times when around others, including at home and in public for an additional.
You see what she has on her face, and she
Should
be wearing a
should
well-fitting
well-fitting
mask.
should well-fitting include like should it give me like a muffin top like on the top half of my face? 'Cause I'm so
We'll
fucking
just give you a
fat.
plastic bag and we'll just like cover you up and it's like, and we won't put any air inside of it either. We'll just like cover your head and like your top half of your body and like tape it down.
Did you guys see the TikTok video where the woman made like this ventilator thing? Oh my god, let me
We've
find
watched
it.
a lot of
It's so
TikTok videos. Every Thursday we watch TikTok videos. If you want us to watch a particular
yeah.
video,
I'm gonna send send
submit
one
it
in.
to us and
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
play
gonna.
it on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Oh, this is one of those that it fits with this combo anyway. Sorry.
No, that's fine, but we'll still share it on Thursday because we'll all laugh.
How dare you?
Additional 5 days. We recommend that you avoid activities where you are unable to wear a mask and that you avoid travel for the full 10 days. In addition, CDC changed the recommended duration of quarantine. Quarantine is what you do after you're exposed. People who are not up to date on recommended COVID-19 vaccines should quarantine for 5 days if they come in contact with someone with COVID-19. People who do not develop symptoms by day 5 should get tested. If you test positive, you should begin isolation. People who test negative may end quarantine and should continue to wear a well-fitting mask when around others for an additional 5 days. These recommendations are consistent with over 100 studies collected over the past 2 years, indicating that people are most infectious during their first few days of infection and significantly less infectious 6 to 10 days after infection. A core part of CDC's mission is to translate science into recommendations for best practices and real-world circumstances.
Science is a process.
We
It's
can
a process.
hear you. You're here. We can hear you.
Science is a process, not a conclusion. That's like saying
It
my
really pissed
God.
me off when that dude was like, "Oh, Saki's just misusing or misrepresenting the truth," or whatever the hell he said. That is a very light way of putting it.
Yeah.
Over the holidays, we saw the growing surge of Omicron and took swift, science-based action to address the very real possibility of staffing shortages in hospitals and in other essential areas of the workforce, including schools, pharmacies, public safety, public labs, grocery stores, and other sites, where
She say
shortages
labs?
could have and have proven to have dire public health consequences. This is the right guidance for what we currently know about.
Usually when people talk and they shake their head no, it means that they don't believe what they're actually talking about. Just saying. It's a well-known fact that if you actually pay attention to human psychology or whatever, when they shake their head no, that mean they don't believe what they're actually saying. So I mean, she shook her head. Shook her head no several times during this little speech that she's given.
Transmission and the real-world circumstances we currently face. As we will learn more, we will continue to update accordingly. Omicron is likely not to be the last curveball this virus throws at us, but we have the tools to prevent further spread of this virus. This means for everyone 5 and older, please get vaccinated. For those 12 and older, get your booster shot. And please continue to adhere to the multi-layered prevention measures, including masking and, yes, washing your hands. Thank you.
We don't know what
Everybody should
curveballs are going
always
to come
wash
to
their
us.
hands after doing almost anything and everything. If
No.
your hands are dirty, go wash your freaking hands.
I don't wash my hands after I go pee.
Wow, that's kind of disgusting. But
No, I have a clean dick.
well, I guess I mean,
I have a clean dick. Why do I need to? I don't understand.
Thank you so much for that. For that information.
Got him.
We really, really appreciate that.
oh, that yeah. I mean, I guess, but yeah,
Answering dire, tough questions.
yeah. Always wash your hands
To wash
after
or not
going
to
the
wash?
bathroom.
That is the question.
Always wash your hands after going to the bathroom. And it's not necessarily that you had a clean, flaccid penis.
Keep your pee-pee
but at the
clean,
same
guys.
time,
Keep your pee-pee clean.
when you flush the toilet, you don't know what the last person was doing in there before they flushed the toilet.
Oh my God.
Wash your hands.
We're having this discussion.
Wait, what? What do you mean? I know exactly what the previous person in the bathroom did before I went in there. It was me, and I took a poop.
Well,
I don't understand.
See, and then you flush the toilet before you wash your hands after wiping your butt. So I mean, the whole thing.
No, that's what showers are for. I don't understand. What?
Showers are used every 2 days. You don't. I mean,
Yeah, showers are used every 2 days, and it's used to get the crusties off. I don't understand where we're going with this.
Is that the cheese?
we definitely have to make sure that we go over 2 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Madam
that's
Chair,
good.
Ranking Member Burr, members of the committee, thank you for
Oh
giving me
God.
Oh God. Oh, are we ready for this guy?
Welcome to the Mouseketeers.
And you notice he took his mask off so that he could talk to everybody.
You should keep your masks on to protect others. I'm gonna take this off because fuck you, Ron Paul. You're the liar here.
the
You don't know what
opportunity
you're
to
talking
discuss
about.
with you the
Okay, let's listen to what this guy has to say.
role of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in the conduct and support of research addressing our nation's response to COVID-19. In our most recent hearing before this committee on November the 4th, I discussed the importance of booster shots to enhance immunity against the Delta variant that wanes over time. Indeed, booster shots have dramatically reconstituted the waning immunity.
So hold on here.
His whole demeanor in this whole thing, just by the way, just to let everybody know.
I'm looking at this guy in his not so well-fitting mask.
His tie fucking sucks too.
Yeah, it doesn't match anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, this guy, his mask
Mom picked
seriously
it out
does
for
not look like it's well-fitting.
And has increased
But
protection
Fauci's
over and
whole
above the
demeanor in
original
this
level afforded by the
It's
primary
completely
vaccine
different than I've
regimen.
seen him in any
Today,
other
we are
hearing.
faced
Sure.
His whole demeanor. If you just
Yeah.
pay attention, it's very revealing as far as I'm concerned. But
with a different challenge, a new variant.
Today I shot
Omicron
Steve
has
in the
rapidly spread throughout the world, including a massive, unprecedented surge in the United
Jimmy's avatar
States.
changed.
This variant possesses a large number of mutations that are associated with an increased efficiency of transmission, immune evasion from certain monoclonal antibodies, convalescent plasma, and antibodies induced by our current vaccines. Thus far,
I can't
data
address
from
that.
our own laboratories at NIAID, as well as from laboratories throughout the world, have indicated that vaccine-induced antibodies lose a considerable amount of potency in neutralizing the Omicron variant. Although this is of obvious concern, the encouraging news is that a third shot boost of an mRNA vaccine significantly reconstitutes and enhances the ability of antibodies from boosted individuals to neutralize the Omicron variant, strongly suggesting that boosters will play a major role in protecting our population, at least from severe disease, in the context of the ongoing massive surge of the Omicron variant that we are currently experiencing, underscoring why it is so important for the unvaccinated to get vaccinated and for those who are already vaccinated to obtain the booster shot. Therapies in general are an important...
Get him.
he's
Get him.
there. Okay. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Taking notes.
Oh man, that guy's. I'm so glad I voted for him. Fuck.
This is
Okay, I'm so
this is
glad.
today's
man.
hero. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody should praise this man for everything that he's done and what he's about to do.
I've supported him since the day I turned 18, and his father. Those guys are crazy. Yeah. So he was talking about how do I say this? He said a
Oh, it's my curly
mRNA,
boy.
not the mRNA, right?
He did.
So that makes me wonder, because this is not information at all. It's a question. The question is
Questions.
the booster the same spike protein that's produced as the wild type boosters that were given out, or the original shots? Is it the same? Because he
We
says
don't
the
know.
boosters.
I
Yeah,
could
I don't know.
explain
You don't
more,
know.
but it
Nobody
would not be
knows. That
YouTube
question
friendly.
hasn't been asked, and that's something that I actually have a question about. Right? Is it different? I don't know.
Yeah.
important part of our armamentarium against COVID. In this regard, the NIH has been heavily involved in and/or clinical testing
Now, if he believed in everything that he was actually saying, why does he have a piece of paper that he's reading off of?
several effective monoclonal antibodies against SARS-CoV-2.
To make sure it's all documented right.
However, we have asked certain of the authorized monoclonal antibodies are negatively impacted by the Omicron variant. Direct antiviral therapies also are an extremely important tool in the fight against COVID-19. Importantly, it appears that the mutations expressed by the Omicron variant do not interfere with the oral antiviral drugs Paxlovid and Molnupiravir that NIH-funded investigators played an early role in developing and that have recently received emergency use authorization from the FDA. Nor do they appear
Can
to
you go back?
interfere.
I need to get those names. I gotta look this up. I gotta get those names down. Let me get the notepad. I'm gonna Google this while we're watching this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
About 15 seconds.
Yeah. I just need those
Okay.
two names.
And Molnupiravir
Okay.
that NIH-funded
Paxlovid
investigators played an early
Okay, hold
role
on.
in
and
Molnupiravir with the
Monopure
oral antiviral drugs Paxlovid and
Paxlovid.
Molnupiravir that
Molnupiravir.
NIH-funded investigators played an early role in developing and that have recently received
Paxlovid.
emergency use
Got it,
authorization
thanks.
from the FDA. Nor do they appear to interfere with the FDA fully approved drug remdesivir, shown by NIH-sponsored studies to be highly effective in preventing
Oh
severe
my
disease.
God! Are those two other variants?
Looking
of,
ahead in the context of the
variations of
inevitable
remdesivir?
continual emergence
Yeah.
of new variants, the importance of developing a
I could go on
pan-coronavirus
about
vaccine,
that,
namely
but
one that
probably
would be
wouldn't be YouTube
effective
friendly.
against all SARS-CoV-2 variants and ultimately against all coronaviruses, becomes even more apparent. My colleagues and I recently published a paper in the New England Journal of Medicine emphasizing the urgent need for such an effort. In this regard, we have made significant progress in that direction. We have identified antibodies that neutralize multiple different coronaviruses, and in addition, NIAID has issued new awards to fund pan-coronavirus vaccines at 4 academic institutions. These awards will fund multidisciplinary collaborative teams to conduct research focused on coronavirus virology and immunology, immunogen design, and innovative vaccine and adjuvant platforms, as well as technologies to discover, design, and develop pan-coronavirus vaccine candidates. Finally, I would like to close by looking forward to how we might best enhance our preparedness for what inevitably will be the emergence of future pandemics. The NIAID will play an important role in the multi-billion-dollar all-of-government plan for pandemic preparedness. Our mission
India
is
doesn't
the
like the
rapid
one.
development and implementation of successful countermeasures against several prototype pathogen families of viruses that threaten the health and safety not only of our nation, but of the entire world. Thank you
Wait,
for your
what?
attention, and I would be happy to answer your questions following the
Yeah,
presentation.
what did he actually just say there?
Thank you.
Go
Dr.
back
Wilcox?
about 30 seconds to a minute. I need to
Following
hear
the
that
world
last bit
that
again.
threaten the health and safety
Yeah,
not
more,
only
more,
of our
more, more.
nation, families, successful countermeasures against several prototype pathogen families
Yeah,
of
can you go back
viruses
to like
that threaten the
30,
health and safety.
Okay, hold
3130?
on.
Yeah, just 3130. I think it's good. Cool.
Immunogen design, and innovative vaccine and adjuvant platforms, as well as technologies to discover, design, and develop pan-coronavirus vaccine candidates. Finally,
Coronavirus.
I would like to close by looking forward to how we might best enhance our preparedness for what inevitably will be the emergence of future pandemics. The NIAID will play an important role in the multi-billion-dollar all-of-government plan for pandemic preparedness. Our mission
All of government
is the
plan.
rapid development and implementation of successful countermeasures against several prototype pathogen families of viruses that threaten the health and safety not only of our nation, but of the entire world.
Pause.
Thank you for your attention, and I would be happy to answer your questions following the presentations.
Thank you.
Wow.
I'm
Dr.
sure you will
Sorry.
be happy. Because
So
you look so happy right now.
I'm probably misunderstanding what he's saying, but my interpretation, at least where it stands right now, is that he said you need an all government approach, right? Which I'm not okay with, because why the hell are you going to be throwing people into jail? Because that's all government, right?
See,
And
what I got
oh, go ahead.
or what I got from that is that he's saying, thank you. What I got from that is that he's saying that he's got more for us. He's got more in the pipes, you know? Because the last time he was talking like that, how a pandemic was coming, all of a sudden we got COVID.
Well, we'll take us offline, but I need to know the time frame that he was saying that. Tell me the time frame, right? Well, we'll talk offline about that. But it's like,
Okay.
yeah, because I just don't want to put Koolfrogg at risk.
I mean, I'm putting myself
no,
at risk just by watching this today. I mean,
it's the Senate.
I've told
Oh, yeah,
Susan
stuff
several
they've been
times, and I'll
saying.
tell her again. We're not doctors. We're not sitting there trying to tell people what to do, how to do it, or when to do it. You should definitely see your own doctor and do what's best for you.
Absolutely. We're just dudes on a couch sitting around talking about what the fuck's on the TV. That's literally all we're doing.
Right. I mean, they gave us the footage that we are just trying to watch and talk about so that we understand what they're actually talking about.
Yep. And if
Urge
you don't
people to
have
do their own research and formulate their own opinion as well.
No.
No,
Don't
follow
do
the
that.
doctor.
You must
Must always follow the
must
doctor's
trust the government,
guidance.
and you must trust
CDC
Dr. Fauci.
knows what
Do
they're
not
doing.
do your own research. That will lead you to
listen to the
conclusions
criminal
that
enterprise.
Fauci
Big
would
Daddy
probably not be happy with, and we can't have that.
I like your little avatar you got going on there, Jimmy. Yeah.
Oh,
Good morning, Chair Murray, Ranking Member Burr, and members of the committee.
Build
Thank you
back
for the opportunity
Burr,
to testify.
privileged scrub.
FDA's
Broke
thousands
back
of
Biden.
employees remain steadfast in fighting this pandemic. Our work continued during the holiday season and led to
Excessive
critical
bathing
advancements in
exercises were
combating the
engaged in.
virus. The agency's been closely monitoring the potential impact of the Omicron variant on the currently available vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. I'll provide a brief update on actions the agency has taken in these three areas since I last testified before this committee. First, regarding vaccines.
She looks like a Camino from Star Wars.
Authorized and approved vaccines remain highly effective
You know,
at
one of those
preventing serious
things
outcomes
with like the egghead, like the
associated
really
with
tall
COVID-19
necks and stuff like that.
infection, including
That's what she looks like, yeah.
hospitalization and death. Additionally, data evaluated
big
by the
long
FDA
neck.
suggests that
Yeah. Pale face, pale head, it's egg shaped, tall, skinny neck. That's what she looks like. She looks like a Camino.
Dad, Tonwee's here.
Okay.
Koolfrogg's just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Additional booster shot following the completion of primary vaccination
Frog
provides
with the
further protection
Star Wars.
against these outcomes. Following these data, FDA updated the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna vaccine EUAs to shorten the time between completion of a primary series and a booster dose to at least 5 months rather than 6 months. FDA also updated the Pfizer, BioNTech EUA, so it's now available for a primary series in children ages 5 and older, and for the use of a booster dose in all individuals 12 through 15 years of age after completion of primary vaccination, as you've already heard from Dr. Walensky, as the CDC followed up on this. The agency also authorized the Pfizer vaccine for a third primary series dose for certain immunocompromised
She looks like a bad guy from a video game, and I can't pin
children
which
that are
one it
5
was.
through 11. These vaccines have met
I'm
FDA's
serious. She's like from a anime
Doom 2016.
bad guy. I just can't pin.
From an
which one.
anime. Oh, okay.
No,
I'm
seriously.
dead serious.
Say again?
Yo, I'm dead serious.
Jimmy,
She looks like
who'd
Olivia
you say?
Pierce from Doom Eternal, Doom 2016.
Hold on, what was the name?
Olivia Pierce from Doom 2016. Olivia Pierce.
That might be it.
I have no clue what you're even saying.
Fauci looks like the floating
And the
skull with
bottom line
horns.
is getting
Destroy the
vaccinated
giant.
or receiving a
Facts,
booster
dude.
with one of the currently available vaccines is the best thing the public can do now to protect
Oh my
themselves
God.
and those they care about. It is not too late to get vaccinated or get boosted. Second, diagnostic tests, which are another key line of defense in this
Diagnostic test.
pandemic. Increasing access to accurate, rapid, at-home tests continues to be a priority for FDA. Since I last testified, the agency's authorized 4 additional
you're the bitch from
over-the-counter
the
at-home
FDA,
tests,
okay.
bringing the
That's right.
total number to 15. And the agency continues
You know
to
what? I could also see
prioritize the review
here
of
being
these
M
type
from
of
James
tests.
Bond.
We also partnered with the NIH to establish ITAP, which streamlines validation and authorization of antigen tests with potential for large-scale manufacturing. We expect shorter review times for such EUA requests due to our partnership with ITAP. In fact, the first 2 tests that participated in this program were authorized in 2 days or less from the time FDA received the final data. So this is a very good model for government assistance of diagnostic manufacturers. In this new program, ITAP will prioritize new over-the-counter test submissions that could be manufactured at significant scale to accelerate the availability of high-quality, accurate, and reliable tests for the public as quickly as possible. Third, as new variants continue to emerge, it's crucial to expand the country's arsenals of COVID-19 therapeutics, especially for those unable to get vaccinated or who can't respond to vaccination. Since I last testified, 3 therapeutics have been authorized for use in the treatment of COVID-19 for emergency use. The first of these EUAs, Evusheld, was authorized for the prevention of COVID-19. The other 2 therapies, Paxlovid and Molnupiravir, as you heard from Dr. Fauci, are the first authorized treatments for COVID-19 in the form of a pill that can be taken orally, which is a major step in the fight against this global pandemic. These authorizations provide new tools to combat COVID-19 at a crucial time, and it should make antiviral therapy more accessible to people who are at high risk for progression. Now, while these are important tools, they're not substitute for vaccination in people for whom vaccination is recommended, and I continue to urge the public to get vaccinated if eligible.
Oh my God, it does look like that Olivia Pierce that you're talking about. That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, dude. If you want to throw her up, it's an M2 from.
Let's bring Grim back in.
What the freak?
I don't know.
What?
Welcome back.
Thanks, man. How's it going?
Yeah. I just clicked on that wiki link that you sent, and I'm like, yep, it totally looks like her.
Yeah, she do.
Dr. Woodcock.
Oh, I got a wood.
And fourth, we
We
continue our
don't
mission
need
of
to know.
protecting the public from fraudulent
Sorry, I
medical
just
products.
started laughing.
Since March,
Keep it
we've
to
refused
yourself. Share it
admission
with
of
your
more
wife.
than 23,000 lines of FDA-regulated products that were trying to get into the country
Oh, I forgot
illegally.
Jimmy YouTube's into.
And finally, I want to assure the public that FDA is committed to continue to use every tool in our toolbox to fight this pandemic with the best available diagnostics, life-saving therapeutics, and vaccines. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Assistant Secretary O'Connell.
Chair Murray, Ranking Member Burr, and distinguished members of the committee. It is an honor to testify before you today on efforts within ASPR to respond to the pandemic since the emergence of the Omicron variant. When Omicron first emerged, as we have done with each new variant, we immediately evaluated its impact on our current vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics, and adjusted our response accordingly. Data suggests that our current vaccine doses with a boost confer protection against Omicron. As a result, we have continued distributing.
Just real quick, you can see that Jimmy actually changed his avatar to what he actually looks like. Grim is undecided what he wants his avatar to actually look like tonight for some reason.
Look at this photograph, bro.
Look at this graph.
Look at this graph.
That being said, let's hit play, and I need another whiskey.
The three authorized and approved vaccines. Over 600 million doses of vaccines
Oh, by the way, hit
have been
pause again one more
developed
time.
and delivered since
This
the
lady,
start of the pandemic.
I know who
We
this
have
bitch
ample
is.
supply of both primary and booster
She
doses,
works for ASPR, which is
contributing to
the...
more than 200 million Americans
he's a
now being fully vaccinated. However, we have had to
Just
make
for everybody's
adjustments to
knowledge,
our
I'll throw
therapeutic
that out.
supply in light of Omicron.
So she's an
Two of our
Asperger.
workhorse monoclonal therapies, one from Lilly, the other from Regeneron,
I mean,
are not as effective against
It's,
you know,
there's nothing wrong with
As
that.
a result, we have
You
increased
could-
our supply of
you
GSK's
could
monoclonal,
infer that.
which is effective.
I won't
We
argue.
continue to purchase all that we can from GSK, though this supply is still limited. We are on track to have 250,000 courses available this month. A fourth monoclonal by AstraZeneca is targeted for immunocompromised individuals at high risk and is taken prior to exposure to prevent infection. It has retained effectiveness against Omicron, and we will have made nearly 500,000 courses available through the end of this month. All four monoclonals are currently available for states and
They've made
jurisdictions
$500 million
to order
by the
free
end
of
of this month.
charge on a weekly basis to treat either Omicron or Delta infections. Also, we now have antivirals by Pfizer and Merck that are effective against Omicron and are being delivered to states free of charge every other week. We have procured 3.1 million courses of Merck that are now available. Last week, we doubled our commitment to order 20 million courses of Pfizer's product. We have 265,000 courses available through this month and anticipate delivering the first 10 million courses to states by midsummer. We remain in frequent communication with states and territorial health officials on the distribution of therapeutic products and continue to focus on ensuring these life-saving therapies are available to Americans across the country. The dramatic rise in cases due to Omicron has put a significant strain on our testing capacity. Despite significant effort and investment, there is more work to do, and we are working every day and night with manufacturers to increase the availability of tests. As soon as we saw the dramatic increase in cases in South Africa and Europe, we reached out to test manufacturers to understand their surge capacity and supply chain constraints. We are engaging daily with the lab test providers to mitigate any supply chain constraints with their sub-tier suppliers. We are also working with the commercial and public health labs to
Wait,
prioritize
sub-tier
their
suppliers?
needs.
What does that
We
mean?
can
I'm not so sure.
By the way, just FYI, this woman
Does it mean-
she is the assistant Secretary for Preparedness Response, ASPR, ASPR, and that is underneath of the Health and Human Services Department. Department of Health and Human Services. So, just so you know where she's from.
Yeah. But I was making a joke about Asperger, like from Asperger. Like,
Well, you know. Yeah, I know. I was just letting others know.
Apparently, Asperger's
What
doesn't actually
that
exist.
Let
acronym.
our audience know so that way they know what to actually comment on when they're actually saying something.
So you have CDC, NIH, FDA, and HHS all
Right.
represented. And I hate them all.
Continue to use the Defense Production
what about
Act's
the people?
authorities when
Where are the
needed.
people at?
No, right. There should be somebody that's, there for us as the citizens of the United States to actually.
No. That's not how
That's
this works.
Congress's illusion.
What Fauci says is what goes, okay? That's
Well,
how
we
this
know
works now.
that. I'm just saying there should be somebody else there as well. That should be, dissented opinion or something.
To further increase test availability, we are procuring 500 million rapid tests to distribute to American households. As a requirement in this procurement, none of these tests can interfere with what is available in the current commercial market, so as not
what?
to diminish what consumers are able to.
What the fuck did she just say?
Yeah, we went back about 15 seconds.
500
What
million
the
rapid
fuck?
tests to distribute to American households. As a requirement in this procurement, none of these tests can interfere with what is available in the current commercial market, so as not to diminish what consumers are able to access now.
Pause.
We are currently
Wall now. What she just said was.
We're going to rewind that again and listen to it one more time after you're done.
Mm-hmm.
these tests can interfere with what is available in the current
10 more seconds.
commercial tests to distribute to American households. As a requirement in this procurement, none of these tests can interfere with what is available in the current commercial market.
Why can't they interfere with what's going on in the room?
As a requirement for us getting these tests to give to people for free, they cannot interfere with the market. So the market must be bought out, and then we can release these tests to the people. The people who we are trying to get tests to so that they can be protected, we can't until they shell out money to these companies, which we made a fucking deal with. That's what she just said. That is literally what she just fucking said.
Private-public partnership.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Go back.
One
Go
more
back to 20. Go back to 20. Go back one more.
It's almost like the CEOs of
Yeah.
these corporations. Sometimes
Listen to
have more
this
power.
really close.
Continue to use the Defense Production Act's authorities when
Defense
needed.
Production Act.
To further increase test availability, we are procuring 500 million rapid tests to distribute to American households. As a requirement in this procurement, none of these tests can interfere with what is available in the current commercial market, so as not to diminish what consumers are able to access now. We are currently shipping 2.8 million tests to long-term care facilities per week, as we have throughout the pandemic. We continue to work.
So, what she basically said was, the Defense Production Act allows the government to seize the ability to create materials for the good of the people during a time of emergency. But during this time of emergency, in order to not step on the people or the corporations in which, the government has seized the assets of, the government cannot get these assets out to the people until the people have bought up all the stuff that is out there. So unless everybody goes out and buys what these people have put on the market for whatever fucking price they have, the government cannot use the Defense Production Act to get those needed resources out to the people. That's a fucking problem. Horseshit.
I did rewind it again, so we're gonna listen to her.
Yeah. Go back to 20. It was 20. Yeah, right. Yeah, listen real close because she's saying Defense Production Act. We use the Defense Production Act to procure 500 million, but those 500 million can't interfere with what the people who we charge the Defense Production Act, right, by taking control of their facilities to create this stuff for the people, we can't interfere with what they already have out there. So until they get paid, we can't release it to the people. Want to hit play?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Taxpayer needs. We continue to use the Defense Production Act's authorities when needed. To further increase test availability, we are procuring 500 million rapid tests to distribute to American households. As a requirement in this procurement, none of these tests can interfere with what is available in the current commercial market, so as not to diminish what consumers are able to access now. We are currently shipping 2.8 million tests
Buy
to
from the
long-term care
corporations
facilities
before the
per
government
week,
gives you,
as we have throughout the pandemic. We continue to work to send 50 million
basically.
rapid tests to federally qualified health centers and food banks, with 7 million having shipped so far. And we will keep working around the clock with manufacturers and our government partners to increase and sustain the number of tests available now and in the future. And finally, in addition to vaccines, therapeutics, and testing, ASPR continues to provide on-the-ground support to states and communities in need. Since July, 40 National Disaster Medical System teams, nearly 880 team members, have deployed to 19 separate states and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands to support a range of functions, including hospital augmentation and decompression, setting up medical overflow centers for patients, and mortuary support. We continue to send supplies as requested from the Strategic National Stockpile, including 300 ventilators to 6 jurisdictions since the emergence of Omicron. We are grateful for the support from this committee in Congress, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you to all of our witnesses. We will now begin a round of 5-minute questions of our witnesses, and I again ask my colleagues to keep track of your clock
We'll be
and
back, guys.
stay
I'm gonna
within
step
those
out.
5 minutes. As the Omicron variant of COVID-19 continues to spread.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to come back in, hit that link.
See ya.
Oh no, I'm just gonna
you're
step
just
up and
gonna
walk
go.
out.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I'm not dropping.
No, okay,
But
I got you.
yeah, did you guys catch that they actually said that, like, buy what's out there before we
You're right.
help the
Exactly.
people?
You have to actually buy the product that's actually available before they can actually distribute to not put something out there that's counteractive to what they're actually trying to already do.
But they already seized the assets, right? They already seized the means of production in order to get after the people. So the people seized the production, but even though it's produced, it's not getting released to the people because they need it, so they have to pay for it, even though the government has the power to seize it to help the people.
It gives
in
them a
this
reason
thing
to
that we're
charge
not
people
trying to
more
stop.
money for the stuff that they are trying to produce or that they've just produced. Because
Yeah,
if
this
they
is
go
one of
and they
those things
release it
that
at the same time, it's going to deteriorate the value of the stuff that's already out there, causing
no, it
that
won't.
to
It's
actually
500
reduce in
million.
price.
500 million will be gone in no time, especially with a weekly. So it's like, well,
Yeah,
but
I
this
mean,
is one of those things
for
that, like, the
anybody
left and
that's
the right
actually
could
buying
actually
this
get
stuff,
behind.
I mean, there's actual storefronts that are actually set up to actually just sell product that deals with current stuff or whatever. It's really ridiculous why anybody would even want to go and hit up any of those storefronts.
But it's like why even
it's confusing.
have the Defense Production Act, right? Like, okay, let's put it this way, right? The government needs bombs to go fight a war. But before the government can use those bombs in a war, it has to buy them from all these private companies that made bombs first. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. So why are we doing that right now?
Right. Why are we wasting the government's money
people's lives?
or using the government's money? Because, we all know that the government's money comes from
the people. So the people seize it in order to reduce costs and get this certain thing out to the people. Like, that's why it exists, to get this thing out to the people. So let's grant them that it's deadly. Let's grant them that it's a massive risk. Let's grant them that all this overreach is necessary, right? The seizing of means of productions and all that crap. Let's grant them that, right? You grant them all of those, and they say, well, too bad. You have to pay our donors first, and then we'll go on and protect you. That's what they're really saying, and that's what's messed up. And this is one of those things that the left and the right, populists, not left and right, like conservative and Democrat, but I'm talking progressive Republican. Those are one of those. This is one of those points that I think both sides could agree on. That what she just said from Asper is just uber jacked, and yeah, I'm gonna step out.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just crazy.
Before we go any further, again, Susan, we're not doctors. We're not actually trying to tell anybody to do anything that they shouldn't do. They
No.
should actually go see their doctors and actually do what's best for them.
Yeah, this is
As well
purely
as anybody that's
logistical.
actually paying attention to us and watching,
Yep.
make sure that you actually share this out to anybody and everybody that's possible that you can think of. Hit that like button and ring the bell. That totally helps out with the algorithms. I don't know who's else is going to actually watch this, but we might actually pick up somebody because it's actually an interesting topic. That being said, let's move on. See what Senator Murray has to say.
At an alarming rate, people are looking for clear, straightforward guidance on how to protect themselves and those around them. It is really critical that we reduce the infection rates so we can relieve pressure on our healthcare workers, protect people with disabilities and older Americans, young kids, and anyone else who's been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. However, I have heard from so many people who find the latest CDC isolation and quarantine guidance confusing and hard to interpret. So, Dr. Walensky, can you please clearly explain CDC's latest guidance on what people need to do to protect themselves and others if they are exposed to or contract COVID-19? And let me start with vaccinated people. What is your guidance to them?
I paused it because I know what's going to come next. I think I kind of would think this is pretty much where I actually stepped in this morning when this was actually first going on. And it gets really confusing. We'd probably be doing the same thing we had been doing and rewinding and re-listening. So just pay attention.
Thank you, Chair Murray, for the opportunity to clarify. Maybe if I could just rewind the clock to just before the holidays.
Oh, she is
where
rewinding
we were
too.
hearing from hospitals that their staff were
Son of a
going
bitch.
out. And
What?
I said she's rewinding too. It's like, well, son of a bitch. What do you? There you go.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
the holidays, where we were hearing from hospitals that their staff were going out and that they were in a real crunch in terms of beds. They had plenty of beds, but they didn't have staff to staff them. ICU beds were starting to close. So immediately we worked towards our updated healthcare worker guidance. But when we did so, we recognized that we were going to have challenges and that this Omicron surge that we were about to face was threatening many other places of our healthcare sector.
I appreciate the background, but I just want to know, straightforward, if someone is exposed to or has COVID-19 and they're vaccinated, what do they do?
If they are exposed to COVID-19 and they are completely boosted, they do not need to stay home, but they should get a test at day 5. If they have COVID, our guidance does not distinguish between your vaccination status. And our science has demonstrated that you're maximally infectious 2 days before and 2 to 3 days after. So by 5 days after your symptoms, if you're feeling better, if your fever is better, if your cough and sore throat are better, then on day 6, you can go out, but you have to wear a mask. You have to wear a mask reliably, and you should not go to places you can't wear a mask. You probably shouldn't go and visit grandma. You shouldn't get on an airplane.
For vaccinated, what about unvaccinated?
Same for unvaccinated for isolation. So isolation being those who have had disease, who have disease.
Okay. Well, let me just say, nearly 2 years ago, when this committee first started having congressional hearings on COVID-19, the very first thing I asked was, where are the tests? And we've made progress since then, and we are now producing 300 million rapid at-home tests each month, along with ramping up our lab-based testing. But I am disappointed, as I said, by the testing challenges that we're facing. Tests are hard to find. They're costly. People are unable to find the at-home tests in pharmacies, online. They're waiting in long lines, and often after that, waiting days for results. So it's, ineffective. at the end of the day. So, Ms. O'Connell, I want to ask you, what are you doing to address the frustrations and challenges we are hearing about COVID testing?
Chair Murray, thank you so much for this very important question. Testing remains a critical priority for this administration. When we saw the unprecedented cases of Omicron sweep into South Africa and Europe, we immediately reached out to our manufacturers to understand any supply constraints.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Jimmy? Or are you just agreeing?
Oh, I just said I'm sure you do like them tests.
Yeah.
You know, they're making bank off
I'm
it.
sure they all have some kind of investment in testing.
Just as a quick little thing from what the Mrs. CDC over there said, you know, the thing with like the beds and whatnot, you know, well, beds are always full.
Yeah.
They're always full. Almost all the time, they're always full.
No, we got entire hospital wings.
Or
that
at
are
least
empty.
mostly, right? You know,
Like they're
and then
shutting
if they
them
don't,
down.
if they don't have more, then they get more beds and they make more room. And that's just kind of the way that hospitals and places like that will do it.
We had
but
an entire hospital.
the other
ship
aspect
that
of
they
this
didn't
as
even
well, and
use.
Grimm pointed this out in a couple of chats that he was talking about here, was that they
Oh,
fired
yeah. I was
over
going to
100
read this
million.
one that he actually just put out. He's like,
Ooh,
why
not
is the
100 million,
Dem
but over
talking
a
like
million
a
health
rep
workers,
and the
not
rep
100.
talking like a Dem? This is backwards. You know, so he actually said backwards, but, you know, I say it the right way. It's backwards.
Backwards. It is.
Well, whatever your pig Latin is. As Grimm pointed out, you know, they fired over 100 million healthcare workers. Now they're talking about in New York State how they want to bring in the National Guard because they've let off so many of them because they didn't want to get a Fauci ouchie and other reasons. And so, you know, well, then if that's fine, you'll just get fired and you'll just get thrown away. And now we have to bring in the National Guard. Now we have to bring in other different people. We have to bring them in. Washington State's like, hey, we're going to deputize people to go around and make sure that everybody's following along with guidance and doing this and doing that and so forth. I mean, you know, so this is the kind of crazy crap. Like, hey, we'll get rid of all of the nurses. We'll get rid of all these other people. But hey, you know, in place of those people, we'll bring in, you know, National Guard troops. We'll bring in CDC troop people. We'll bring in, you know, whatever. But again, the complaint of, you know, oh my golly, there's not enough people to staff beds or whatever right now. It's like, well, that's because you got rid of them. So
then Grimm just put up,
as Grimm again,
if anyone in the
stated
government
chat,
who makes policy decisions and invested in these companies needs to be terminated immediately. I agree. Anyone who in the government that makes a policy decision shouldn't be invested in anything.
well, then they don't get fired.
They shouldn't get
out.
yeah.
Right. I mean, they are pretty much that would
not
take
every
care
single
of
person,
the
but, you know,
government the way it
absolute
is,
majority.
and would have to replace it with a better government that the people actually elect, as opposed
Grimm
to
for
what
president.
the government forced the election to be. We're not, Susan, we're not talking backwards. We're not trying to actually say that the government was, you know, Joe Biden is our president. He was duly elected properly. We love Joe Biden the way we have nothing
The
bad
most
to
popular
say about
president
the
ever.
Bad Kafka.
Potato.
We have nothing bad to say about the guy at all.
The most legitimate.
Yeah, he is a completely legitimate plagiarist.
Welcome back, Grimm.
Hey, what's going on?
Grimm.
Even though a potato has thicker skin than Joe Biden does presently, because again, as I keep stating, his skin just keeps getting more translucent by the day, and his hair too, conveniently. But you know, he's still the most legitimate potato that's ever been thrown around in the Oval Office. So,
well, I mean, he's more like a potato than you would think. He's warm on the outside, but completely cold on the inside.
But is he warm on the outside though?
Well, children like to rub his hairy legs.
It's more like an
Or does he make them? Anyway, anywho, allegedly, what, who, where, I don't know.
They like to flatten out the hairs
that
and
guy?
watch them
I
curl
have a
back
couple
up. I learned
questionable,
about roaches. I
allegedly,
like kids jumping on my lap.
I have a
Corn
couple
Pop was a
alleged
bad
pictures of
dude.
things Joe Biden did
Corn
on my
Pop was
T-shirts
a
on my
bad
story. You go
dude.
check out.
You take the razor blades and you punch them on the concrete and put them in a wheelbarrow full of water and let it sit there and get all rusty. Give them tetanus.
Constraints they had and to evaluate their surge capacity. We have also met daily
Wait, is she
with them
double
to make
masked on the
sure that
left?
they have what they need
Yeah.
from their suppliers
There's
and
several
have
people in
used the
this
Defense
group that are
Production
dual
Act
masked.
authorities 12 times throughout this pandemic in support of testing needs. Most recently, in the last few weeks, for 2 tests, we were able
She's wearing enough masks to actually take care of the people that aren't wearing them.
to unlock supplies and manufacturing capacity.
And she's
We
wearing enough
continue
masks
to
for us all.
invest in rapid over-the-counter tests, which are in high demand. And in the fall, we invested $3 billion to increase manufacturing line staffing and to commit to those manufacturing lines for 13 months.
Did you say million
As a
or billion?
result, we went from $3 billion to increase
billion.
manufacturing line staffing and to commit to those
You just wanted me to go back so you could see the girl in the yellow dress going running through there again.
I don't know what you're talking about. Was that million or billion?
manufacturing lines for 13 months.
Go
As a
pick real quick.
result, we went from 46 million tests, over-the-counter tests available in October to the 300 million, Chair Murray, that you just mentioned that are available now. But that's not enough. We're continuing to bring tests to the American people. As a result, the President has announced, and we're in the process of procuring the 500 million tests, which every American household will be able to order and have shipped directly to their house. We have completed 4 contracts so far, have secured 50 million tests, and are in the process of securing the
Say what?
That's contradictory to what she said earlier, right? Because
Kinda.
earlier she said we can't ship that out. Like we can't get these tests to people until people buy up what's out there.
Right.
And now she's saying
you can order them
already got
and have
this
them
set up.
delivered to yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
She's double speaking hard.
additional tests over the next several days. The U.S. Postal Service has agreed to do the distribution, and the U.S. Digital Services is going to help with the website. We anticipate the first test going out at the end of this month, with the remaining tests going out over the next 60 days.
Okay, and I'm out of time, but I do want to just say this. I am hearing from so many schools that are
So she's out of time, but she's going to continue because she's wait until she goes further into it and she starts calling out the senators after, going over their time or whatever and trying to talk over them as they're actually trying to say what they're trying to say.
having trouble staying open.
Testing,
They want to
real
stay
quick.
open. Part of it is they have staff that are
When does the testing mandate go into effect? Is it on Thursday this week?
I'm not positive on that.
I don't know. I thought that was wrapped
I
up in
think it
the
was-
Supreme Court.
Well, they didn't do a stay, right? So they haven't done a stay. So I thought it went into effect on Thursday this week. So that'd be what? Today is what?
Tomorrow, right?
Wednesday? Yeah, that'd be tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. So it'd be the 13th. Yeah. If I'm probably mistaken. Like I'm most likely mistaken here, but I thought it was the 13th. So if it is the 13th, and she's saying, "Oh, well, we're planning on getting these out at the end of the month," then the requirements would eat up what's out there, and then they could ship them out.
Sure.
Is that? I mean that's logical.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
what you're saying, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
That might be what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well,
60
just
days.
a thought
okay, and I'm out of time, but I do want to just say this.
being
I
said
am
without
hearing
being
from
said, right?
so many schools that are having trouble staying open. They want to stay open. Part of it is they have staff that are sick. That's understandable. But a big part of it is they don't have access to the safety measures like masks and testing supplies. What do I tell them about where they go to get that?
Chair Murray, thank you. Schools having enough testing supplies to stay open is a critical priority for us. We've invested $10 billion of the American Rescue Plan
About teaching
given
supplies.
to states to support and stand up testing programs. We've also invested $650 million in a program called Operation Expanded Testing, which set up regional hubs of labs that schools could contract with to run their testing programs. But that doesn't work if there aren't tests available. So ASPR is working directly with states to match additional manufacturing
what?
capacity with states.
Did she just say that schools, they set up hubs
Let's see what
where
she actually
schools
said
could
again.
contract with them?
I just put it back 15 seconds. Let's see what she actually
Okay,
said.
yeah.
Which set up regional hubs of labs that schools could contract with to run their testing programs.
Yep.
But that doesn't work.
Yep.
Tests available. So
Cronyism
ASPR
all over
is
again.
working
Exactly
directly
what
with
came out there.
states to
Crony.
match additional manufacturing capacity with states that need it.
Miss O'Crony.
Not only
Yeah,
that,
so
we are
I
in the
mean, what
process
she said
within
basically was right. They set up hubs, like, so these schools could go and contract, which means go to a private business. So the government made a deal with a private business for these local governments to go to do their testing and this, that, and the other. It was cronyism.
Sure.
Oh my
of
God.
looking at our contracts to see if we have any additional capacity.
Honestly, the
and
fascism
will
is
commit
right.
to sending that capacity to the school programs.
Senator Burr.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Let me just cut to the chase. Dr. Fauci, you said CDC was going to update its guidance and include antigen testing, or suggested that it would. Dr. Walensky and CDC came out with the guidance. It didn't include it. Was that part of the communications plan to start with, and they diverted, or was that something you just chose to inject?
Thank you for that question, Senator Burr. In discussions about the real gray zone, which Dr. Walensky described, about after the 5 days where you have a considerable diminution in the likelihood of being transmitting, we had been in discussions about what the role of antigen testing would be. And as a matter of fact, when Dr. Walensky came out with the final guidelines, they include that if you have a test available, you may take a test. So at the end of the day, we were quite in concordance with our views.
Well, I think the chair and I share this. We found it very confusing, and I think the American people found it confusing, and I don't say it lightly when I say not too many people in America are listening to what comes out of Washington, whether it's Congress or out of the administration as it relates to COVID. So the president makes an announcement, Ms. McConnell,
Julia, I
500
wonder
million
why.
at-home test. Is this the first time that you've thought about purchasing an at-home test, or have you tried to before and it was rejected?
Thank you, Ranking Member Burr. This is the first time the administration has committed to purchasing tests to send to the American households.
Oh, this is the first time. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I thought I was muted. I'm sorry.
Is that ASPR or is that DOD? Because of all the notifications of contracts signed,
Oh, she's caught
I've
off
seen them
guard.
from DOD. I haven't seen them from HHS.
Thank you for that question,
caught off
Ranking
guard.
Member Burr. We have a relationship with DOD for assisted acquisitions. So ASPR will request that DOD put out a solicitation or manage a contract on our behalf. They're able to do it extraordinarily quickly. And we've had an MOU in place with DOD for this work that will run through June 2023. We've used this relationship to purchase vaccines and therapeutics, and we're now using it for testing.
So,
Why is DOD
the
working
best
on the? Why is DOD working on the home front? Like, why are they stuff in the civilian sector on the home front?
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. And they're working on the wrong side of things. They should be, pointing
Working outwards, not
their
inwards.
their
Yeah.
needs on the outwards is supposed to working on the citizenry.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's the same reason why like DoD can, FBI can run drones over American citizens, but the DoD cannot run drones over American citizens, right? Like to surveil, right? It's the same kind of deal. So there's a separation there, and it's not occurring, and that's a cause for concern to me.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all.
In fact, you
This whole
mentioned
thing's
50
just
million
riddled with.
doses having been contracted. I can identify 27 million out of two companies, Media and Atlantic Trading. Neither one of them are manufacturers of test, and I believe the third one, Revival, is not a manufacturer of test. Media actually came to fame was importation of vodka and tying cell phones to vodka. And like a lot of other companies, they got in the PPE business in 2020 with some nominal FEMA contracts.
Really? So, just because they're like, well, there's a big, need for this kind of stuff, we should just like stop what we're doing. We should actually do that kind of stuff. Because
Well, I mean, it makes sense though for a vodka company because they're already making alcohol. They probably switched to do hand sanitizers and shit like that. I mean, it makes absolute sense.
other
It
than
makes
the
total
fact
sense.
that, of all the businesses that actually closed and were forced to close and were unable to remain open, liquor stores were not really affected.
Yeah, I know my liquor store got a lot of business.
Why should we have any confidence in these contracts if, in fact, we're dealing with companies that don't manufacture anything? And can you assure me that the tests that are coming in are not coming from China?
Thank you, Ranking Member Burr. Absolutely.
Or could be
These
changing
tests,
hands,
what we initially
like the
did to be
aluminum
able
did
to access,
like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
You buy, sell, it just works its way around, and you drive up the value, and everybody kind of makes a cut because you have deals, and then that's how you do it. You make some money off of it. That's what they did with aluminum, and there was a whole bunch of shit that happened with it. That's kind of what this is pointing to with those three contracts: more cronyism and corruption. It's a good lord.
test for the initial shipments that will go towards the end of January.
We are past our
worked
2-hour
with
mark.
warehouses to see where additional tests were stored.
All right.
And assessed that additional capacity and are bringing that capacity to bear for these initial tests that are going out, which is why you're seeing contracts with warehouses and not with test manufacturers.
So
Wait, go
that's what
back.
you're telling me?
I didn't catch what she said because she double spoke there. I don't know if she didn't say anything or what.
Back 20.
Yeah.
Of January, we worked with warehouses to see where additional tests were stored and assessed that additional capacity and are bringing that capacity to bear for these initial tests that are going out, which is why you're seeing contracts with warehouses and not with test manufacturers.
So I was correct. I was correct
So
with the fucking aluminum. Thanks, lady.
Right.
What
I
you're
was
telling me,
absolutely
they've got
correct.
50 million tests in warehouses in the United States, and all we did was access that inventory?
That is my understanding.
Well, will you confirm your understanding? This is a very, very important piece when you've got companies that don't manufacture tests, and all of a sudden,
Buying them
we're
up.
giving them 190.
What's up?
Oh, he's saying if you don't have companies that don't make it, they're just buying them up and sticking them on the back shelf, waiting for prices and demand to go up as the virus becomes more and more widespread, right? They're waiting for more demand so that they can catch a fucking profit.
Right.
That's what they're doing.
$90 million contract for about 14 million home tests, and their expertise is importation of vodka. I encourage you to look through the list of people that we're signing up with. Are you aware that some of the larger test manufacturers in 2021 shut down lines because of the lack of purchases for at-home tests?
So there was a
Really?
lack of people that were actually purchasing the at-home tests. So now they have a stockpile in all these warehouses, and they're gonna
That
force
goes
people to get
directly
the
against
weekly
what they were
tests.
saying earlier.
Yeah, it is.
right.
This is so filled with holes, man.
One of the things we did in the fall with the $3 billion investment that we made was to turn lines on and to commit to those lines for 13 months so they wouldn't be turned off again.
Dr. Woodcock, let me just, last
Everybody
question,
likes lines
Chair.
to stay turned on.
Of the 15 tests that you've currently approved for over-the-counter, how many detect Omicron?
Did you hear the question?
Of the 13 tests that you said earlier, how many of
How
them
many
detect
detected
Omicron?
Over-the-counter.
Of those?
How many detect Omicron?
We're still working on that, but we believe all of them detect Omicron. We simply feel they are somewhat less sensitive
Oh,
than they
my
were to
fat
some of the
ass.
previous
Buy 'em up, people.
variants.
So they're less sensitive, possibly less sensitive to the Omicron as opposed to the previous variants.
What a fucking
But all of
look,
them
man.
Of the 50 million
What
tests that the ASPR has contracted for,
what a fiasco.
Say that
Because
again?
what they're basically just, what a fiasco. Because what they're saying is like, oh, we made a whole bunch of these things that are now obsolete, but we're going to force everyone to fucking buy it so that, you know, we can get our make our bottom line what we were projecting. So it works, buy it. Like that's what I'm catching from this.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's accurate or
exactly
not,
what she
that's what I'm
said.
picking up.
Working on that, but we believe all of them detect
This is a sales
Omicron. We simply
pitch.
feel they are somewhat less sensitive than they were to some of the previous variants.
of the 50 million tests that the ASPR has contracted for, how many of those tests detect Omicron?
I don't know which tests there are. We can get back to you on that.
So what she's saying is none.
Yeah, it's so my issue, just so you know, Susan, my issue is not at all with the test, not at all with any of that. My issue purely comes down to cronyism. That is all I am talking with respect to. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just crony, corrupt dealings.
Mhm.
What it appears to me to be, sorry if I can fucking speak right. Yeah, they made something that just doesn't work, or made something that's obsolete, right? So imagine I go and make a whole bunch of Hewlett Packards from 1990s, and I contract 500 million of those sons of bitches, and Windows 10 modern hardware comes out, and I'm like, well, you can't sell the modern hardware until these Hewlett Packards go out, otherwise I'm gonna sue you. You're like, okay, hey everybody, get a Hewlett Packard and force everybody to buy one, and then turn around and put the other stuff on the market. I mean, that's basically what they're doing.
Right.
So it's a bailout. It's yet another bailout. That's what I see from this. It's another one of the 2008, 2009, whatever bailout. That's all it is all over again. They're just changing the fucking color of lipstick, but it's still a pig. It's ridiculous.
You haven't consulted with what we're purchasing on the 500 million. They haven't consulted with FDA to figure out whether the tests they're buying actually detect Omicron.
I believe they have. I simply don't have that list.
Okay, I thank the chair.
Senator,
Wait a minute. Did you see that look?
Go back.
Watch the look on the lady as they finish the statement. She looks over at Dr.
Switch
Fauci.
that camera quick.
Consulted with FDA to figure out whether the tests they're buying actually detect Omicron.
I believe they have. I simply don't have that list.
Okay, I thank the chair.
That look in her eyes. She's like,
What is?
we don't have the information for the Omicron. Why don't we have the information? It's like she knows that they don't have the information for the Omicron variant or whatever. So she's just she's like, oh.
But
well,
I believe it's true.
I told them what I could.
If you want to break down who's really afraid of it and who's really not, look at the age. Typically, if people are older, they're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And if people are younger, they're just like, okay, it's going to end some people's worlds, but other people will be fine.
If I remember correctly, out of this
Biden
group
potato
of people,
voters.
I'm the oldest at 43. And
I'm 34.
seriously, you're what?
34.
Yeah, you're 34. These guys are in their 20s.
Allegedly.
like I said, I'm the oldest in the group,
Damn whippersnappers.
and I'm nowhere near concerned. I mean, I think I've told Shirts a couple times that I'm like, you're probably about the same age as my oldest child. And, I'm nowhere near concerned what
Allegedly.
even people in my own age group are. And it just doesn't seem. Jimmy, you okay, bud?
I think he dropped his
Just
cork.
dropping
He
shit in
seriously
1996.
just fell off his stool, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
You drop your heroin spoon, bro. What's going on over there?
Drinking a little too much.
What, you trying to tie that band around your arm? What's going on? You good? No, I'm just playing with you, man.
I'm Gucci.
It sounded
He's
like
just
a
throwing
spoon.
dishes around. It's fun.
No, that's some bad stuff,
Senator
though.
Kane?
It's not a joke about.
Thank you, Chair Murray, and to the witnesses.
No, not
Dr.
really.
Fauci, can you
Oh, it's
provide us
bad.
a general breakdown of what percentage of hospitalized individuals are vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and what
Oh, God.
percentage of COVID
Oh, God,
deaths
it's him.
are among vaccinated or unvaccinated individuals?
Pause. He just
So-
did a selective bias.
You see, Dr. Fauci's having issues looking at the little panel that he's supposed to turn his volume on and off for the microphone. He does this several times through
What's
this.
the matter, bud? You
whole-
got some eye troubles going on?
Well, what the senator actually asked was, what's the percentage of people who are in the hospital who are vaccinated versus unvaccinated? That has nothing to do with coof infection at all, right? If you're
Right.
in
I'd love
there
an honest
for a
answer to
broken
that
arm,
question, though.
if you have a broken arm, it doesn't matter. Oh, I see what you're
Right.
saying. Use it as comparing and contrasting, like as a truth line. Get your delta from that. I could see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Are vaccinated as
True.
unvaccinated?
You're right.
And what percentage
Good
of
call, Jerry.
COVID deaths are among vaccinated or unvaccinated individuals?
Yes, deaths.
And
That
then the
doesn't add up.
second part was
He
the
selective bias.
deaths that were
Yeah.
attributed to the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is, hold on, pause it
Question
one more time.
isn't precise enough.
What Grim is saying is that it is biased to suggest that every single individual that would happen to be in a hospital that may not be Fauci ouchied has, that's the reason why they're there. That every single person that's there, the reasoning why they're there is because, they're not Fauci ouchied. It's kind of the assumption that's being drawn from the first question. And then, of course, the second question is a bit more specific. So,
yeah, like I've
So what,
gone
they're
to
the
the
temporary
hospital
camps?
dozens of times in my life, right?
and you
And
never
guess
had a
what?
Fauci ouchie.
And it was before the virus. So you could say that 100% of people who were in the hospital because of coof, even though none of them had it. with the framing of his question, I'm merely talking from a question framing standpoint as far as what's actually being
it's trying to
asked.
get an answer out that
Right.
that he wants to hear, that he wants people to hear over the recording of the camera.
So
Yeah,
let's see what Dr. Fauci has to say about this.
Yeah, it's a malformed question. It's terrible.
And he's going to have a horrible answer.
That question, Senator Kane, one of the ways to answer that question would be to look at.
Why is there have
One
to
of
be
the
one of the
ways.
ways? What? Just give us a straight up answer.
People who are in the hospital and take a look at if you are vaccinated versus unvaccinated. And if you look at vaccinated versus unvaccinated, there's about a 10 times greater chance that you'd be infected if you were unvaccinated, about a 17 times greater chance that you'd be hospitalized if you were unvaccinated, and about a 20 times likelihood that you would be dead if you were unvaccinated. So when you look at every parameter, 10 times, 17 times, 20 times, infection, hospitalization, death.
Thank you, Dr. Fauci. Ms. O'Connell, I want to ask you a question about additional vaccine development.
I've heard this 17 and 20 several times come out of different people's mouths when it comes to
That doesn't
trying to
compute
get
at
the
all.
information.
Just because you're there doesn't mean that's why you're there.
No,
Yes.
not at all.
That's the problem. That's the
That
whole
is the
problem.
dumbest
It's
framing
watering
ever.
down the statistics. Try and push a narrative. Like, give the actual straight facts. If you're not going to get into specificities and give raw data, that's not just a conjugate. I mean, it's conjugate data is what they're giving you, and it's bullshit. Conjugates,
Why
sure,
the
they
hell do you
work
think
here
they're
and
doing
there.
that? What do you
It's
think the
trash.
real numbers are?
Well, I mean, they are technically saying the truth, but the data that they're trying to assert is in a conjugate isn't necessarily the fact, right? You can
Right. This
say
is what
that,
they always do.
yeah, you can say A plus B equals 10, but if you're asserting, okay, that means A is 10, and you're like, no, B is 9, A is 1, and they say, no, A plus B equals 10, A is 10, and you're like, dude, no, that's what they're doing. That's what's driving me nuts.
The current vaccines against COVID, as was indicated by Dr. Fauci's answer, have been very successful in reducing deaths, severity of
Yeah, I agree
illnesses,
with
and
you, Jimmy,
hospital
you're right.
admissions. However, they've had
Of
more limited
course they
success in
have.
preventing forward transmission from vaccinated individuals after breakthrough cases, and the existing vaccines are not as durable as vaccines in other areas, so we need booster shots to continue to protect against the virus. Is the administration considering supporting the development of additional
Where's this
vaccines
tinfoil?
that might be
Where's
able
this
to
tinfoil
address the
toupee?
gaps in the current?
Say that again.
Where's this tinfoil toupee? Because that was conspiracy theory fucking 6 months
He
ago.
might be wearing it right now.
Right.
Oh, God.
Looks pretty silver to me. Ha.
The
Ha.
development of additional
I knew you'd get there.
vaccines that might be able to address the gaps in the current vaccines capabilities.
Whatever's
Senator
left
Kane,
up
thank
there.
you so much for that question. Yes, absolutely. I think we all see the need
Hillary
for next
Clinton does a
generation.
number,
I mean,
tell you.
he did have a good point. He just doesn't understand how to ask. Yeah, he had a good point. I see where he's getting to, but he's just really bad at asking questions. He's got so much on his plate. But I mean, I see where he's going. But he's just really bad at asking questions. He doesn't realize A plus B equals 10. But other than that, okay, fine. It's not until somebody
Thank you
brings it
so
up
much
that
for
he'll
that
realize
question.
it.
Yes,
He's an ass.
absolutely. I think we
I'm-
all see the need for next
Yeah, he's an
generation
idiot.
vaccines. We are also
He's an
looking
ass.
for next generation antivirals and therapeutics as well. We're in the process of working with Dr. Fauci's
somebody who
team
just
to
is
develop
one
a
thing, somebody who's
unified
anti-conspiracy is
NIH,
another,
BARDA research agenda
I get into the
and
dots one.
budget to address these issues, to identify candidates that might already be in the pipeline, to help support the research into candidates that are just starting in the pipeline, so we can accelerate the availability of next generation vaccines and therapeutics.
Thank you for that
Next
answer.
gen.
Dr. Walensky, I'd like to ask you a question about access to testing,
Next
and in
generation
particular,
vaccines. That's
what
the
is
first
the
time I've heard that.
CDC do?
Well, because there's, I believe it was the company that starts with the M. They're supposed to be producing something that's supposed to come out in the fall, which would be the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. Again, Susan, we're just talking. We really don't. We're not trying to tell anybody to do anything that they, against what CDC recommendations are. Everybody should go see
We
their
love the
doctor and
CDC.
do what is best for them
Because they love
according
us.
to what their doctor tells them to do.
Doing to make sure that
It's a
testing capacity
it's
is
just a,
robust in rural
beautiful
America
circle of
and
love.
also among community health
It's a
centers
giant love fest.
in disadvantaged parts of the country.
Thank you, Senator Kane. So we have this program, Increased Community Access to Testing,
God, I
in
can feel the
collaboration
love
with
just
ASPR as
blowing
well.
from our
This
mouth.
is a program that
Sweet
has
folks.
collaborated with FEMA to increase surge testing just over the holidays. We've increased federal testing sites for PCRs, 12 federal testing sites doing thousands of tests over the holiday. We also work with pharmacies. This is a collaboration with pharmacies. And in that stead, we are able to map where the pharmacies are PCR and their social vulnerability index, and we can actually put PCR tests in areas of high social vulnerability index through all of our pharmacy partners, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, and whatnot. And then we actually put tests in our community centers as well.
Okay,
so
thanks.
really a broad stretch in order to be able to get access to testing, especially among those most vulnerable. And then, of course, as Asper O'Connell mentioned, $10 billion for testing supplies to our schools, and working closely with our schools in peer-to-peer support, in technical support to allow those tests to be used well in those school settings.
Wait, why the fuck do you need goddamn tech support for a COVID test?
Do you see
What
the whole
y'all
time
give
she's
a
talking
damn
about
about
how
those
interested in anything this person actually is?
I thought that was the trans dude who's the admiral. No?
Oh, the rear admiral.
No,
Yeah,
that's not Rachel Levine.
Okay.
Rachel Levine is much larger in size.
You know,
Oh,
the
they look
same
almost exactly the same.
freaking dude that
I wonder
played
why.
on that went to high school with freaking
Okay, hold on one
the
second
general.
before you guys move on with your conversation. I have to step away for 2 seconds. I'm going to leave this paused. You guys can keep the conversation going, and I'm going to mute my mic. I'll be right back.
Later, Gator.
Show.
Rachel Levine went to high school with the General Milley, and they played on the same football team together. So
Nepotism? What?
You know, the
Well,
Spartans
once it
didn't
come
see
out
it as
they
gay.
were well, you know what makes a good story, right? A love interest. I learned that from Jesse Smollett case.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you're
right.
talking about that, I mean, I think the better example will probably be Michelle and Michael Obama. I mean, Michelle and Barack Obama. Excuse me, because
I mean, Big Mike.
Michelle is totally not, you know.
Big Mike.
Big
You know, you
Mike,
don't repeat
Big
the thing. You
Me
know
and
that
Mike.
starts.
What? Who? Where? Mike? Who's Mike? I don't know.
I'm about to be like,
Allegedly.
oh, let me find this. Let me find this real quick.
Allegedly,
I gotta
of
go
course.
to YouTube.
Have you seen her back?
Who's back?
Big
Shady's
Mike's.
back. No. Why?
So she
Was
wore
it fucking
a
ripped?
open back dress one time.
Was it fucking ripped?
Oh yeah, dude. It looks like some.
She looks like
You gotta
she
see.
roll it up looking like, oh, who was the guy who played in The Island? He had a heart attack and died. Oh, what the hell was his name?
Oh, what? Is that another movie I need to see?
The Island? Oh yeah, it's an oldie but goodie. Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan. Yeah, he's like her back looks like Michael Clark Duncan. You know who I'm talking about? Hold on, let me drop
looking
this.
him up.
Hold on. Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan.
Yes. Yes.
Here we go.
All of that.
Here we go. Here you go. I'll drop this over
Just
here.
look up Michelle Obama's back.
There you go. There you go. Check out that Imgur post, bro. Michelle Obama rock up like that.
Oh, what? I
That
gotta go
dude
back
was
to Discord.
that dude was fucking. Oh, I dropped it in the
Oh, shit.
restream chat.
Oh, motherfucker. Hold up.
Yeah, that dude was ripped, man.
Hey.
Holy shit. Dude, this guy looks like fucking. Let me find it. Where is it?
Oh, here we go. No, that's Olivia. Chat or the private chat?
I dropped it in the private chat in
What
go
the
to
hell?
go to
It's
the
not letting me
restream and
scroll
click at
down.
private chat. Huh?
I'm in the
No, it's in
chat.
the private chat on the left of the screen at the bottom. says private chat right under where you can mute yourself. Click that up and
He's
have
on his
Literally all
phone.
I
He
hear
might
is
not
chat, and then it
actually
goes.
see that the same way we do.
Oh, okay. Oh, fuck.
But at that being said, I just clicked on this dude because I overheard you guys talking about as I
Oh,
was
got
coming back, and I'm like, this, look a Booker T slash, if you know who Booker T was, the wrestler.
You see the new
Where's his-
photo? Biden had a new
where's
photo
his-
shoot today.
He's got something missing on his pecs.
Wait, I thought Booker T was the guy that
Isn't
freaking
everybody-
Rocky fought.
No. This is
That's
Booker
Clubber.
T was the he's
What is-
five-time world, and he wrestled for WCW before he came to WWE.
I was thinking of Clubber Lang from Rocky.
But he's got something missing. You see that?
All right.
There's a couple things that everybody actually has on their chest that are called nipples.
So, speaking of on your chest, and on a lighter note, did you guys hear about the guy who had a pig heart transplant?
What?
Yeah, so there was a guy.
Before you go too far on that, actually, my grandmother actually had pig valves actually put into her heart to try saving her from having issues or whatever, and it actually rejected the parts and pieces or whatever that they had put in there to try repairing the valve.
Oh no!
And I mean, she lived for another like 6-7 months or something like that or whatever. But
Yeah, they genetically modified it. So this guy's
Right.
57, and they genetically modified the pig heart. And we'll see what happens, but that was pretty crazy.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother actually had
New York
that
Times covered it.
particular type of surgery.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
So now that I'm back,
He looks like Epstein rough.
Moo at cow. It moves back. We are friends.
Damn.
cold water.
I wish him all the best. Good luck, buddy.
Okay, so
Pig.
let's see what this lady was almost done talking, right?
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. And Dr. Fauci, one more question for you. I ask a version of this question every
well, there
time
you go.
we
Just don't
have
tell
this
me.
panel before us. What is the NIH doing right now, or what's the current status of NIH research to better understand long COVID, to look at symptoms and potential treatments?
There are several
overdrawn non-answers.
levels of activity going on. Some news since we spoke last.
This
I had
time I'm going
mentioned
to
to you,
leave my
Senator.
mask on when I answer you.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Potential treatments.
There are several levels of activity going on. Some news since we spoke last. I had mentioned to you, Senator,
For $100, you
that
can get
in
the
fact there was a 1.15 billion program
initial level.
for studying long COVID that is now developing cohorts to look at various incidences, prevalences, pathogenesis, and potential
his ears.
interventions. There have been a number of awards that have been given.
Developing cohorts?
Most recently
What?
in September, there was an additional $470 million.
Yeah, this guy's answers are always so horrible.
I told you, man. Long
Program
overdrawn.
for
0.5
studying
billion
long
to develop
COVID that is-
cohorts or something? What's that, Jimmy?
I said long overdrawn non-answer right at the beginning before he spoke. I knew what he was going to say.
Yeah.
We spoke last. I
Yeah.
had mentioned to you, Senator, that in fact there was a 1.15
Last time we
billion
talked, I said this guy's just stupid. Let me repeat it.
Really? Wait, he
That's
said
pretty
that?
much what he just said. Rewind it like 10 seconds. He's basically like, "I told you last time. Let me fucking repeat it for you because you're stupid." Like, that's what he said. Like without saying.
Okay, let's listen to this. What his answer actually is.
Potential treatments.
There are several levels of activity going on. Some news since we spoke last. I had mentioned to you, Senator, that in fact there was a $1.15 billion program for studying long COVID that is now developing cohorts to look at various incidences, prevalences, pathogenesis, and potential interventions. There have been a number of awards that have been given. Most recently in September, there was an additional $470 million funding supported through the American Rescue Plan, engaging about 100 researchers from 30 institutions to get individuals together. One of the things that's really interesting that we're seeing
Wait.
right now.
418 million to 100 researchers to get people together? Did he just say $4 million per person?
Engaging about 100 researchers from 30 institutions to
Yeah,
get
go back about
individuals
another 10, 15.
awards that have been given. Most recently in September, there was an additional $470 million funding supported through the American Rescue Plan, engaging about 100 researchers.
470 million engaging 100 researchers.
4 million a person.
Yeah, 4.7. Yeah.
Fuck these guys.
Gee, that's not crony.
From 30 institutions to get individuals together. One of the things that's
Frickin'
really
sus.
interesting that we're seeing
Yeah, dude.
right
Dude.
now is that when you look at individuals who have these symptoms that
Like
go
he said,
on,
get
as you know,
100
and have
individuals
experienced
together.
yourself
Like,
for a considerable
groups,
period of
individuals.
time, a recent study that is in the preprint stage, so it hasn't been peer reviewed, has some very interesting information that needs to be validated and verified. It was an autopsy study in people who had varying levels of COVID, from relatively mildly symptomatic to moderately symptomatic to individuals who actually died. And when they looked,
Wait, go back.
Lord.
Did he just say what I think he just fucking said?
validated and
We did.
verified, it was an autopsy study in people who had varying levels of COVID, from relatively mildly symptomatic to moderately symptomatic to individuals who actually died. And when they looked at the spread of what was not.
Wait, so you did an autopsy on someone who wasn't dead? Well, that sounds like
Yeah.
him. You know, that's what he does.
That's what I just.
That's a fun afternoon for Fauci, is to do things like that to little beagle dogs and people and other things. Just it's just a Freudian slip. That's all. Faucian slip.
Nothing
they
big,
call it.
nothing major. Just
Allegedly.
autopsies
Oh my
on
god.
Allegedly.
minor symptoms.
Right?
Relatively mildly symptomatic to moderately symptomatic to individuals who actually.
I didn't go back far enough.
Yeah.
Some very
that's
interesting
fucking
information that needs to be validated and verified. It was an autopsy study in people who had varying levels of COVID, from relatively mildly symptomatic to moderately symptomatic to individuals who actually died. And when they looked at the spread
there
of
you
what
go.
was
There you
not
go.
necessarily replication
We didn't
competent
say it.
virus,
We didn't say
but
it.
was
Fauci did.
PCR-able virus, which means
Oh,
you
man.
could have
Sickle.
they looked
He's like,
at the spread
This-
of what
I
was
just wanna
not
listen.
necessarily.
He just keeps
Hold
on
on.
rolling.
Sorry, Koolfrogg's like, I just want to listen, guys. Sorry.
As much as I hate this guy, I really want to understand what he's actually trying to lie to us about.
Died. And when
Yeah.
they looked at the spread of what was not necessarily
does an experiment on
replication
live people?
competent virus, but
Allegedly.
was PCR-able virus, which means you could have nucleotides that were there seems to be a persistence in multiple organ systems, indicating that even if you clear the virus, one of the
what?
possibilities, and I have to emphasize possibility, because it needs to be validated,
It's not replicating
is
in the
that
body.
you don't completely clear the fragments of the virus and you have continual stimulation, not that you're infectious or that you're going to infect anybody else, but that it is still generating perhaps an aberrant response in your immune system. I underscore again, it's preliminary, it's in the preprint stage, and it needs to be peer reviewed. But that's some of the information we're starting to gather.
Thank you very much for that answer. Thank you, Chair Murray.
Senator
I didn't understand a plug of word. Did you see his face? Watch the senator's
That's
face at the
exactly
end.
what I was going to say. Now, when I'm going to try pausing this on time when he actually goes back to the guy that actually asked the senator that asked the
Fuck was
question.
that?
Preprint stage, and it needs to be peer reviewed. But that's some of the information we're starting to gather.
Thank you very much for that answer. Thank you, Chair Murray.
One more second. One more click. What the fuck?
Seriously, I mean,
Yeah, there it was. That was the whole. What?
okay, I guess if you say that you're
That's
just
some
autopsy
gamer regret
living,
type stuff.
damn, brother.
Yeah, dude, that's bad. He's like, I don't even have a clue what that was supposed to mean.
Oh, he wouldn't know anyway. He's a dumbass.
Senator
If-
Paul.
No.
Give Dr. Fauci.
Oh, okay,
he
okay.
wouldn't know what the hell it was anyway.
Just call it
Even if
Well,
Senator
Paul's
Paul.
coming up.
This is
Okay, real quick before. Yeah, so before we hit Paul, Senator Paul, excuse me.
Oh God, are we gonna have time to do Senator Paul?
Yeah, we'll be okay.
I'll shut up.
I mean, we're already.
He did say something interesting. He did say
Just
something
FYI.
interesting.
Sure, so you doing okay? You need to get going? You got something to do, or?
Well, no, just I didn't know at what point you were going to end the stream. I didn't know.
I'm gonna actually pour myself another glass. Because
Yeah, Fauci
I
said
just
something
finally
weird in
broke my
there.
seal for the night, so why not?
You need to get one. You need to get one of them government catheters, man.
let me
I just need a
pour
cork.
my water and my whiskey because I'm channeling my granddad.
Yeah, Fauci did say something
It's
that
Windsor,
kind of
so
struck me as
if
odd.
you're not putting water in your Windsor, you best put an ice cube.
Yeah, can you go back maybe
No,
about
you
30
just need
seconds to
7-Up in it.
about 45 seconds?
Sure.
Because he said it's not replicatable. If people are, I think he said something about if you're infected with a virus that's not replicatable, like you can't replicate it in your body. I'm kind of interested in that bit. Like, I need to know more about that.
Okay, let's listen to him closely here.
Organ systems, indicating that even if you clear the virus, one of the possibilities, and I have to emphasize possibility because it needs to be validated, is that you don't completely clear the fragments of the virus and you have
Yeah, it's further back,
continual stimulation.
Go back further.
Yeah, I think maybe to 1. Yeah, there you go.
Validated and verified. It was an autopsy study in people who had varying levels of COVID, from relatively mildly symptomatic to moderately symptomatic to individuals who actually died. And when they looked at the spread of what was not necessarily replication competent virus, but was PCR-able virus, which means you could have nucleotides that were there seems to be a persistence in multiple organ systems, indicating that even if you clear the virus, one of the possibilities, and I have to emphasize possibility because it needs to be validated, is that you don't completely clear the fragments of the virus and you have continual stimulation, not that you're infectious or that you're going to infect anybody else, but that it is still generating perhaps an aberrant response in your immune system. I underscore again, it's preliminary.
Hold
it's
up
in the
a minute.
preprint
Pause
stage.
this. What is inside of these Fauci ouchies that most people kind of know generating out in the interwebs? What are those little spiky things that people claim, that will not claim, but, the companies themselves claim that are inside of these different things? What are those pieces of, as they so claim that they are pieces of, that they put inside of these Fauci ouchies? And then he just said it may still stimulate some sort of a response until afterwards. Well, what? What kind of a response, right? Like what kind
Talking
of
about
a
bodies, though, right? He's talking about they're possibly. He said possibly, right? So I think he's
you
saying,
have continual stimulation,
yeah,
not that you're infectious or that you're going to infect anybody else, but that it is still generating perhaps an aberrant response in your immune system. I underscore
it's real
again, it's
cursory.
preliminary, it's in the preprint stage, and it needs to be peer reviewed. But that's some of the information
But
we're
wait!
starting to gather.
What's inside of the Fauci ouchie? That's unspeakable on
I
YouTube, but most people kind of know. I mean, like, what? Let's just be honest here. What's
I know
inside of the
I know
Fauci
what you're
ouchie?
getting at. Yeah, I know what you're getting at, but it's a preliminary study and it hasn't been peer reviewed, so it could have had bad testing and this and that. So that's kind of like meh, right?
Thank you very much for that answer. Thank you, Chair Murray.
Senator Paul.
But one thing he did say was that a replicant, like basically the virus that cannot replicate, right? But it's still PCRable.
Yeah, because of the pieces that would be left over. And people have talked about that for a long time over the interwebs. So he's just confirmed two different things that may or may not be unspeakable on YouTube, allegedly, that people have been talking about over the interwebs in other places.
Sure, and you want to hit the private chat and give me like a yes or no?
He did.
Oh.
I know what he's getting at. I don't know what you're getting at, but it's like the fact that he mentioned like viruses that can't replicate raises major red flags because of the Fauci dossier that was released, and testing and MERS and SARS and all that kind of stuff, and the testing that happened and what happened in North Korea and Saudi Arabia, and yeah, it's just that just really stood out to me because of that bit of information. But we'll have to go offline about that.
Okay, we're gonna move on
I'd like
to Senator Paul. It gets very interesting, to say the least.
Dr. Fauci, the idea that a government official like yourself would claim unilaterally to represent science, and that any criticism of you would be considered a criticism of science itself, is quite dangerous. Central planning, whether it be of the economy or of science, is risky because of the fallibility of the planner. It would not be so catastrophic if the planner were simply one physician in Peoria. Then the mistakes would only affect that physician's patients, the people who chose that physician. But when the planner is a government official like yourself who rules by mandate, the errors are compounded and become much more harmful. A planner who believes he is the science leads to an arrogance that justifies, in his mind, using government resources to smear and to destroy the reputations of other scientists who disagree with him. In an email exchange with Dr. Collins, you conspire, and I quote here directly from the email, to create a quick and devastating published takedown of three prominent epidemiologists from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. Apparently there's a lot of fringe epidemiologists at Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. And you quote in the email that they, or from Dr. Collins, and you agree that they are fringe. And immediately there's this takedown effort. A published takedown, though, doesn't exactly conjure up the image of a dispassionate scientist. Instead of engaging them on the merits, you and Dr. Collins sought to smear them as fringe and take them down. And not in journals, in lay press. This is not only antithetical to the scientific method, it's the epitome of cheap politics, and it's reprehensible, Dr. Fauci. Do you really think it's appropriate to use your $420,000 salary to attack scientists that disagree with you?
The email you're referring to was an email of Dr. Collins to me. If you look at the email
that you responded to and hurried up and said, I can do it. We got something in Wired magazine.
No. I think in usual fashion, Senator,
He's like, you did. Okay, let's listen to him again.
if you look at the email.
That you responded to and hurried up and said, I can do it. We got something in Wired magazine.
No. I think in usual fashion, Senator, you are distorting everything about me.
Did you?
Is he distorting everything about you?
You can read the emails for yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Really? Where is it?
They're out.
Where can we locate these?
They
Where are they called?
In the ether of the interwebs.
What's it called? The Time magazine? Is that what he said?
Wired.
Let me drop me I'm taking note.
Did you ever object to Dr. Collins' characterization of them as fringe? Did you write back to Dr. Collins and say, no, they're not fringe, they're esteemed scientists, and it would be beneath me
I did
to
not
do that?
I think in usual fashion, Senator, you are distorting everything about me.
Did you ever?
You notice he's shaking his head no as he's talking.
Up and said, I can do it. We got something in Wired magazine.
No. I think in usual fashion, Senator, you are distorting everything about me.
Did you ever object to Dr. Collins' characterization of them as fringe? Did you write back to Dr. Collins and say, no, they're not fringe, they're esteemed scientists, and it would be beneath me
I did
to
not
do that? You responded to him that you would do it, and you immediately got an article in Wired, and you sent it back to him and said, hey, look, I've got him. I nailed him in Wired of all scientific
That's not
publications.
what went on.
You
There
did.
you go again.
That
You
was your
just do the
response.
same thing every hearing.
That was your response. And
So-
this wasn't the only time. So your desire to tear
Collins,
down people.
who the other
incorrect,
guy he's
as
talking
usual.
about is the NIH director. Just FYI. That's who the other guy they're talking about is. The NIH director. They're talking back and forth with each other.
Get him, Paul.
You go again.
Mm.
Just do the same thing every
He
hearing.
was talking to his coworker, like, hey, guess what? I was able to pull this off. It was fucking great. Look what I did. Hell yeah.
And
So-
this wasn't
So
the
it sounds
only
like
time.
a on the record something that should have just been like a cooler talk. Basically. It's getting him nailed. It happens every
He's
day, right?
frustrated. He's just like, God damn it, you do this to me every fucking time that you talk to me.
And he's not looking at Rand Paul, he's looking somewhere else. He's looking to a Democrat.
Right. He's looking over at somebody
he's
else
nervous.
like, do
Like
you
a chair?
believe this guy?
He was looking at the chair for a bailout.
So your desire to take
You're
down
absolutely
people.
incorrect. As usual, Senator, you are
No.
incorrect. Almost everything you
Well,
said.
no, you
He's not. He seriously hasn't been incorrect in almost everything that he said. He's actually been more correct than almost any other. You just don't like the way he's.
Well, he's got the believe me
Isn't
look.
it illegal to lie on the Senate floor? Under oath?
It's treason.
If you are, no, not treason, it's perjury. But like, if he's, it's only whenever you're under oath or testifying to Congress that it's illegal, right? So if you're a senator, you can lie all day long, or a congressman, you can lie all day long because you have protection.
Completely incorrect. As usual, Senator, you
Why
are
they-
incorrect. Almost
phrase
everything you
well,
questions.
no, you deny, but the emails tell the truth of this.
No.
This wasn't
Good
the
stuff.
only time. Your desire to take
It's
down those who
handshaking. You see
disagree
that?
with you didn't stop with hard.
What's that?
You see Fauci's handshake?
Oh,
Go
he
back.
put-
Watch him
every
play
time
with
you
the-
actually put a camera on him, his hand actually shakes. He has issues. He's
I'm
got
saying
some
when
kind
he's
of. He's got something
like
that's going on.
almost like Parkinson's or something.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It's like he's got Parkinson's or even the slightest form of it or something or other. He's got something that he's dealing with himself.
correct. Almost everything you
Well,
said.
no, you deny, but the emails tell the truth of this.
No.
This wasn't the only time.
there.
Your desire to take
And you can really see that, obviously he was more frustrated because, obviously it's Senator Paul that's coming after him. And every single time they actually talk to each other, they have a heated argument about what's what and why. He just
Good. I'm going to vote for him again.
Right.
How you like that, Fauci? I'm going to vote for. I'm going to vote for Senator Paul again.
Anybody that actually can should vote for Senator Paul.
Take
do it
down
again.
those who disagree with you. Didn't stop with Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. You conspired with Peter Daszak, who you communicated with privately.
Who's Peter Daszak?
Peter Daszak is the head of EcoHealth Alliance, the private non-governmental organization that was charged by the NIH to go and do certain research of certain things over in the Wuhan's area of Chinese.
Oh, he was in the DARPA thing. He was involved in all that.
Yes,
Project
yes,
Veritas.
he was the head of the EcoHealth Alliance place that went to the
Yeah, I
DARPA's,
know who you're talking about now.
the bats,
Mhm.
bats in caves.
Yeah.
And
bats,
other
Batman.
members of the scientific community that wrote opinion pieces for Nature. 5 of them signed a paper for Nature, an opinion piece. 17 signed a paper that called it conspiracy theory, the idea that the virus could have originated in the lab. Do you think words like conspiracy theory should be in a scientific paper?
Nope.
Senator.
The NIH director was on Fox News and said yes.
No.
And he doubled down and said that all of those people are crazy. That's like a quote from him.
Oh.
He said they were all nuts. On Fox News to Brett Baer. They're all insane.
Oh my God. You
They
mean
were
the
all
sun?
crazy. We
The
cannot
earth doesn't
have
revolve around
crazy
the
people
sun?
talking.
That conspiracy theorist burned Copernicus at the fucking stake. No, you prove them wrong scientifically. Called have some fucking rigor. You don't have, that has no rigor in it whatsoever. Unacceptable. Sorry. I mean,
Yeah, that was his
what they
response on
basically,
Fox News Go. The NIH director that he's communicating with over these emails that they're discussing, he himself said, yes, these people are in fact crazy. He doubled down on national news in front of everybody on Fox News with Brett Baer at 6 o'clock hour. He doubled down and said that, yeah, it's okay. I was just reading the chat there, but yeah, he doubled down. The NIH director doubled down
that's a bit of a
and said
bombshell.
that yes, he believes that all of those people that disagreed with Fauci and him and others on the lockdown-y type stuff and everything else that they were planning on doing and everything else that they wanted to enact and they disagreed with, he said, we cannot have crazy people talking about this kind of stuff. We cannot have crazy people and nutty people doing it. I mean, like, he was literally calling them crazy on national news.
If you can't have crazy
calling
people,
them
what are you going
nuts.
to do? What are you going to do? Kill them all?
I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't say that.
That's the only thing you could do. Otherwise, you're going to have crazy people. And guess what? Liberty exists. Get the hell over it. You know how many people are on fucking medications? Well, you should, because you're the fucking NIH director.
Kill me, bitch.
Idiot. Well, I was just saying. It's like, man, there's no intellectual rigor to that. Like, what they're saying is like, oh, conspiracy theory, Copernicus thinks the sun or the earth revolves around the sun. Burn him at the stake. Instead of being like, okay, let me show you why it doesn't. Right? Scientifically. Like, there's no rigor to that. And to have somebody endorse that way of thinking just makes my head turn sideways. You know?
Conspiracy theory should be in a scientific paper.
Mm-hmm.
Senator, I never used that word when I was referring to it. You're distorting virtually everything.
Did you communicate with the 5 scientists who wrote the opinion piece in Nature where they were describing, oh, there's no way this could have come
That
from
was
the lab?
not me. What I
Did you talk with any of those scientists
but
privately?
you keep distorting
you?
the truth. It is stunning how you
Did
do
you talk
that.
to any of the
You know, she
Answer.
looked over again, right?
Just stunning. I love seeing him on the back foot like that. It's beautiful.
privately?
You keep distorting the truth. It is stunning how you do
Did you talk
that.
to any of the scientists privately
Yes.
who wrote the opinion? You did.
Well-
What were they telling you privately?
Well, let me explain. You're going back to that original.
What in the world?
I was. It's a little late, I guess, but this is, again, since the NIH director, like everybody's insane and crazy. The guy that's emailing back and forth.
Oh,
with
we
Fauci.
can't play this.
It's just we can't. Crap, that's right. Okay, never mind. But that video exists.
We've gone through that. We
video
can't
exists.
actually
You can
play
go
that.
watch
I'm
that.
sorry, bud. For as much as stuff
You
that
get a
we're actually
copyright
going
claim?
through, that thing we cannot play.
But it
You get a
does
claim?
exist.
Save
You
it for
can
the
watch
Discord,
it.
man.
It's
Yeah.
It's remarkable. It's truly remarkable. Anyway,
Yeah, it is.
Truly.
Original discussion when I brought together a group of people to look at every possibility with an open mind. So not only are you distorting it, you are completely turning it around, as
Were
you
most of the
usually
scientists
do.
that came to you privately,
I looked
did they
at
come to you
every
privately and say
possibility
no?
with an open mind by calling these people crazy. Okay,
literally
bud.
in emails, they're crazy. And then, oh, gee, are they crazy, Mr. NIH director? You sent an email. Yes, they are, and saying they're crazy. We can't have these people doing this kind of stuff on national news. And then here's Fauci. Well, we never really said that, like, so whatever, Dr. Sickle. Go
With an open
cut out
mind.
the
So
throats of
not
some
only
old
are you
people.
distorting
Oh,
it,
with an
you are
open mind.
completely turning it around,
Were
as you
most of the
usually
scientists
do.
that came to you privately, did they come to you privately and say, no way, this came from the lab? Or was their initial impression, Dr. Gary and others that were involved, was their initial impression
yes, and the origins of
actually
it, too, the
that it
whole
looked
9
very
months of it, there were
suspicious
people.
for a virus
know-
that came from a lab?
Senator, we are here at a committee to
We
look
are?
at a virus now that has killed
We?
almost 900,000
Oh,
people.
I didn't know you were on the committee.
He thinks he's head over everything. I mean, let's
Fauci.
just be honest. Like, everywhere he goes,
He said
just
we
thinks-
are here over a committee. Not you are here over a committee. We are here over a committee.
Came from a lab.
Catch that?
Senator, we are here at a committee to look
We're here at a committee.
Mm-hmm.
at a virus now that has killed almost 900,000 people. And the purpose of the committee was to try and get things out, how we can help to get the American public. And you keep
How we can help to get the American public. What?
Now,
We're listening to him one more time.
900,000 people. And the purpose of the committee was to try and get things out, how we can help to get the American public. And you keep coming back to personal attacks on me
fuck?
that have absolutely no relevance to
Do
reality.
you think anybody has had more?
get information out to how we can help to get the American public.
He's spazzing out right now.
I think he meant
He's-
Purpose of the
he- this is
committee
this is
to get the
was to
anger
try and
information
get
out
things
that's
out.
coming out.
You
He can't
notice
keep his words straight.
everybody that he gave an answer to, he pretty much was able to actually look at his paper and get an answer for them. But he's
Except for-
unable to actually look at his paper to give Senator Paul a direct answer from his paperwork.
Out how we can help to get the American public. And you keep coming back to personal attacks on me that have absolutely no relevance to reality.
Do you think anybody has had more influence
let-
over
let
our
me
response to
finish.
this than you have? Do you think
Madam
it's a great
Chair, can I-
success? Do you think it's a great success what's happened so
Right.
far? Do you think
You-
the
you have
lockdowns
said-
were good for our kids? Do you think we slowed down the death rate? More people have died now under President Biden than did under President Trump. You are the one responsible.
Womp womp.
You are the architect. You are the lead architect for the response from the government. And now 800,000 people have died.
Right.
So you think it's
Way to
a
fuck it up.
winning success?
Okay, we're gonna listen to him one more time.
He basically said you're a
Holy
fuck up.
crap. He just chewed him. Let's just.
Do you think anybody has had more influence over our
let me
response to
finish.
this than you have? Do you think
Madam
it's a great
Chair, can I-
success? Do you think it's a great success what's happened so
Right.
far? Do you think the
You have
lockdowns
said
Do you think it's a great success? Do you think
were
the
good for our
lockdowns
kids?
are?
Do you think we slowed down the death rate? More people have died now under President Biden than did under President Trump. You are the one responsible. You are the architect. You are the lead architect for the response from the government. And now
Facts.
800,000 people have died.
Right.
So you think it's a winning success what you've advocated for government?
damn. Dude, there goes my
Fatality.
Senator, first of all, if you look at everything that I said, you accuse me of in a monolithic way.
Ordinary.
Oh me, oh my! You just accused me of something.
That I wrote in an
Where?
email that's on a piece of paper that's documented that can be read that the NIH director
Yeah.
actually doubled down on national television with. But what the hell? We'll just sit here and just act like that never happened.
If you look at everything that
dare
I
you
said, you
If
accuse
you
me
look at
of in a monolithic way telling people what they need to do. Everything that I've said has been in support of the CDC guidelines. Wear a mask, get boosted,
And you've advocated
vaccinated.
to make it coercive.
Everything
Take a
I've
look
said to do is in support of the CDC guidelines. It's not my fault that I made these guidelines and told people to do it. Is that what he's fucking saying?
Get boosted.
And you've advocated to make it coercive and done
look
through
at
force, and
everything
you've
that I've
advocated that it
said.
be done by mandate.
Right.
You've advocated that your infallible opinion be dictated by law.
Right. So again, Madam Chair, I would like just a couple of minutes because this.
Hashtag gay for Paul. Jesus Christ. This is fucking going crazy.
Be done by
The hashtag
mandate.
gay for
You've
Paul. This
advocated that your
fanboy, this is fucking
infallible
crazy.
opinion be dictated by law.
Right. So again, Madam Chair, I would like just a couple of minutes because
That's great.
this happens all the time. You personally attack me, and with
the hell
absolutely
is it a
not a
personal
shred
attack?
of evidence of
Every
anything you
damn
say.
thing that he
So
has
I would
said
like
is
to make
something you
something clear
advocate.
to the committee. He's the truth.
Okay, so he's gonna come out with some stunning facts for us here, real quick.
All right. Now I've got the
Yeah,
paper.
right.
Oh, good
Let's pay
business.
attention to what he actually says, so we don't have to listen to it 5 times.
He's
Oh,
doing this for
Jesus.
political reasons. What you need to do is, he said in front of this committee.
You think your
Can you tell him to
takedown
shut the
of
fuck
I
up?
was What you need to do is, he said in front of this committee.
You think your takedown of
I
three
was-
prominent
I was
epidemiologists was not political?
You don't want me
That
to
was my
finish because
question.
you know what I'm going to say.
That was the question.
Senator,
Were you
we
political
will-
in taking
at this-
down
at
these
this
three
point-
prominent
Senator
epidemiologists?
Paul, if you would please, I'm going to allow this, Dr. Fauci to
Damn.
respond. We have a number of senators who would like to ask
Go
questions,
back.
and I
Get
would
a
like
micro
him to
smile.
be able to respond. Please do so.
So, the last time we had
Can you
a
go back for a
committee or the
second?
time before.
Yep, saw that.
So he said, do you feel happy that you took down these 3 prominent epidemiologists? And watch, he has a micro expression. So this is the thing that happens,
Your
right? Like
takedown
people
of
who have a
three
multiple
prominent
choice.
epidemiologists
He's
was
actually
not
happy with
political.
You don't want me
That
to
was my
finish because
question.
you know what I'm going to say.
That was the question. Were
Senator,
you
we
political
will-
in taking
at this-
down
at
these
this
3
point-
prominent
Senator
epidemiologists?
Paul, if you would please, I'm going to allow this, Dr. Fauci to respond. We have a number of senators who would like to ask
Did you see
questions,
it
and I would
for
like
like a 10th of a second?
It was more than a tenth of a second. It was like a full second.
You think your takedown of
I
three
was-
prominent
I was
epidemiologists was not
Listen,
political?
You don't want me
That
to
was
the
my
finish
chair
because you
question.
know
yelled
what
at
I'm
Paul
going
to
to
shut up.
say.
That
He
was
felt
the
good about it.
question. Were
Senator,
you
we
political
will-
in taking
at this-
down
at
these
this
3
point-
prominent
Senator
epidemiologists?
Paul, if you would please, I'm going to allow this,
get chastised, was
Dr.
happy.
Fauci to respond. We have a number of senators who would like to ask questions, and I would like him to be able to respond. Please do so.
So, the last time we had a committee or the time before, he was accusing me of being responsible for the death of 4 to 5 million people, which is really irresponsible. And I say, why is he doing it?
It is irresponsible on your side to actually think that you're not the guy that actually had anything to do with these people that actually died. It's all his fault. Everybody's been listening to Dr. Fauci from the beginning.
He doesn't
Time
believe that
before,
he actually
He
did
was accusing
anything.
me of being responsible
right?
for the death
People don't think
of
they do anything
4 to
wrong.
5 million people,
Your brain
which is
hides it from
really
yourself.
irresponsible. And I say, why is he doing that?
So he
Damn
could
well what
There are
the hell
he
two
could honestly
reasons
believe
why
no.
that's real.
He could be. The brain protects itself, man. It's crazy. It really does. So I wouldn't be surprised if he honestly thinks he doesn't think he's responsible for all those deaths. He thinks it is the virus because his actions weren't wrong. The virus is just that bad.
So,
Right.
because Jimmy
Allegedly.
YouTube seems to not be actually speaking up right now, he says, look how relieved Fauci is when she pulls Paul off of him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry,
The
I'll
last
shut up.
time we had a committee or the time before, he was accusing me of being responsible for the death of 4 to 5 million people, which is really irresponsible. And I say, why is he doing that? There are two reasons why that's really bad. The first
That's a
is
shock.
it distracts from what we're all trying to do here today, is get our arms around the epidemic and the pandemic that we're dealing with, not something imaginary. Number two, what happens
You
when
mean
he
in the
gets
past.
out and accuses me of things that are completely untrue, is that all of a sudden that kindles the crazies out there, and I have the threats upon my life, harassment of my family and my children with obscene phone calls because people are lying about me. Now, I guess you could say, well, that's the way it goes. I can take the hit. Well, it makes a difference because, as some of you may know, just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, on December 21st, a person was arrested who was on their way from Sacramento to Washington, D.C., at a speed stop in Iowa. And the police asked him where he was going, and he was going to Washington, D.C. to kill Dr. Fauci. And they found in his car an AR-15.
Oh, no. Not an AR-15. Oh.
The terrorist weapon
Go
of
back.
choice.
Where was he coming from again? Go back.
He was in
California.
Iowa.
No, he got stopped in
He was
Iowa.
going
Yeah, he's
to
from
Washington.
California. That's what he said.
From Washington.
From Washington,
to
sorry.
From Sacramento.
No, yeah, Sacramento. Yeah, that's Washington.
A
I mean,
person
oh
was
my
arrested
God, it's California.
who was on their way
Sorry.
from Sacramento to Washington, D.C. at a speed stop in Iowa. And the police
Hold
asked
on.
him where he was
Hold on. Can
going.
you pause? I gotta.
It's the
Go back
capital
and
of
listen to
California.
him talk about Sacramento to a speed stop in Iowa.
Oh, so threatened, much scary with fucking 5-round mag. Like, what the fuck? You can't get over 5 rounds magazines
It's
in
because it's an
California.
AR-15. Everybody's so their minds
the
are
talking
set
point.
that
It's the talking
AR-15s are the worst weapons in the world, and they're just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that they're carrying around assault rifles." It's not even that. It's called armor light. Screw yourselves.
But he was going from Sacramento, California.
And he made it all the way to Iowa, halfway across the United States, before they actually caught on to what was actually happening.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would they? What?
Just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, on December 21st, a person was arrested who was on their way from Sacramento to Washington, D.C. at a speed stop in Iowa. And the police asked him where he was going, and he was going to Washington, D.C. to kill Dr. Fauci.
Like Dr. Fauci's a third person.
Yeah, he'd totally just tell him that.
He's a psychopath, man.
And they found in his car an AR-15 and multiple magazines of ammunition because he thinks that maybe I'm killing people. So I ask myself, what?
Because he thinks maybe that you're killing people. I mean, there seems to be an awful lot of people that actually feel the same way, that you're actually the one that's actually in control of everything. And yeah, you're the one that actually has a lot to do with the millions of people that are around the world that are dealing with this.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Allegedly.
Yeah, just allegedly. Again, Susan, we're not doctors.
Ask
we're
the
just a
gays
couple
about
people that
Fauci.
are actually sitting here on the internet trying to actually.
Do what? Dude, what'd you say?
Ask the gays about Fauci.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, would you like me to elaborate?
No.
No. It was a
Ask
joke
the
about
gays
a reference
Fauci.
earlier. Oh, because of the AIDS thing?
Why would Senator want to do this? So go to Rand Paul website and you see
You see that if you go to Rand Paul website.
Oh my gosh.
Is that true?
Yes.
Can you go to a Rand Paul website right now and actually find that?
You want to take a screenshot, don't you, bro? I'm gonna screenshot this. Yeah, he put himself directly into meme culture, man. Like, he's done at this point. I'm gonna take a screenshot.
Yeah, go for it. Oh, here, I'm gonna take this screenshot.
Why is it showing?
And I'll show you what the screenshot that I took here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, this is good stuff.
Why is the chat dead?
Save this as it shouldn't be dead.
Oh, never mind.
Weird.
Yeah, fire Dr. Fauci. Oh no, like that's so harsh. Oh no. Who cares?
I always spell his name wrong. Fauci. Fuck. Okay, so let's close this.
Sickle is spelled
Close
S-I...
this. S-I-K-E-L.
Oh, are you making a commie one?
No, here I'll.
No, his name is Dr. Sickle.
Dr. Sickle.
You better.
Fauci, the House of Fauci in Italy. The coat of arms even has sickle on it, and the word Fauci in Italian, that's what that means.
Really?
Referring to
Yes.
the Black Death.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I've gone through this with shirts a couple times on this.
Really?
Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Sickle.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's very interesting. I'm going to throw this in general.
And again, of course, the sickle, you know what the sickle means in medieval type, culture, as referring to, like the Black Death and things that were going on, that the sickle is what the angel of death carries.
Yeah.
So Dr.
Sickle. I would know.
Allegedly, of course, but hey, that's just
Sorry,
YouTube.
I'm taking my
Check the
time.
avatar, bro.
I
said I would know. Check
I think
the
I've had
avatar.
one too many to drink, and I'm trying to figure out how to actually get this picture that I took.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna download that meme and just draw like a dick on the front of it. Put that shit on Twitter. He put himself. Oh man, the Fauci memes have to be wild right now. Going on with this picture.
Can't I see this fucking picture? God dang it! This one.
Get him hold of a picture of Jack Murphy.
No.
Like, oh Jesus!
Come on, paste the freaking picture, you piece of shit.
Oh my god!
Copy and paste.
And we lost him again.
I think he
All
got in
right.
trouble.
I
For
guess
throwing
I'll
too many
figure it
dishes
out
away.
in a minute. Let's move on. Okay. But yeah, that's fire Dr. Fauci.
Fire Dr. Fauci with a little box that says, contribute here. You can do $5, $10, $20, $100. So you are making.
But there's actually like 9 boxes, so anywhere from $5 to the $100, and increments 5.
A catastrophic epidemic
No, right.
for your political gain. So the
You
only
have
thing
Catastrophic
for
epidemic.
your political gain. Isn't that what all politicians kind of really do? Just saying.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like. I'm not
But
gonna
that's
say
the
that.
thing he's saying. You can't have policy decision about me. You can't challenge me, or else you're going to kill me, or else you're the bad guy for making profit off of it, even though he has alleged other things and ties to, different things as far as money is concerned with this whole, pandemic, allegedly. So, but yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying you cannot question, you cannot challenge me, and you cannot say anything to the contrary, or else you're evil and you're the bad guy. That's what he's saying. And you're making this whole thing political. It's like, what do you mean you're making this political? You're the one pushing to mandate everything. You and most legitimate potato ever that's sitting in the White House. And then he's trying to push back on that, and he has a re-election campaign. So
There has
hey,
to be something
you cannot
funny
question.
there. Oh man, there has to be some good memes.
Oh, there it is. Share this. Share that. Eventually, I'll do something. I'll edit that somehow. I just do it in Discord general.
Oh, was that Rand's site?
Yup.
So what? Get bent. Like,
Politically attack your colleagues, and in a politically
No, I think it's
you know
wonderful.
what he
I
should
think they
say to him?
should do that.
You know what you should say to him? I have congressional immunity for freedom of speech, more so than you do. It goes above and beyond the freedom of speech. So why don't you watch your fucking tone? Like, that's what he needs to say. Like, straight up. My speech is more protected than yours, so watch your fucking tone with me.
For your political gain. So the
You
only
have
thing
politically
that, the only
attacked
thing that
your
I can,
colleagues, and in a politically reprehensible
the
way,
only thing that I
attack their
could think
reputations.
of-
Okay,
You won't
That's
defend
exactly
it.
right.
You won't
Well,
argue it.
I'm
You'll just
sorry,
simply
but we're
turn around
going
the
to
attack.
continue this hearing. We have
He has
a number
attacked
of
their
questions
entire
from another
reputation. These are
senator.
people who have credentials out their ass. These people have all kinds of background in various different things.
This might take us 3 nights
I mean,
to finish.
as it pertains to, like, virology and things of that nature. I mean, these people are professionals. These
We
people
only got an hour
have
in.
been
Holy
in the
shit.
business for a long
We're
time.
an hour and
And
10
he's attacking
minutes
them.
into this 4-hour thing.
Jeez.
Reprehensible
The only
way
thing
to
that I
attack their
could think of-
reputations.
Okay,
You won't defend it.
No,
You won't
well,
argue it.
I'm
You'll just
sorry,
simply
but we're
turn around
going
the
to
attack.
continue this hearing. We
Yeah.
have a number of
Right.
questions from
Just
other
one
senators.
more minute, please.
Well,
if
Dr.
my-
Fauci, I really appreciate your response, but we do have a number of questions from
She does
senators.
appreciate
and we do have a
that, though.
second round, and I'm being asked to make sure that
Thanks
everybody
for
has
trying
their
to
time.
screw
So
over
thank
Rand
you.
Paul.
Thank you
because
very
I
much for allowing me,
fucking
Madam Chair.
hate him too.
We will move to Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Fauci,
Welcome back, Jimmy.
thank you, first of all, for what you do.
Oh
You
my
shouldn't have to
God,
put
that's
your
the first thing
life
he
at
says
risk.
after Rand Paul's done.
You
Thank
shouldn't
you
have to
so
put your
much for what
family's
you
life at risk to simply
do. I'm your bitch.
stand.
Tell me what you want. How many Fauci ouchies do I take up my candy ass?
I don't know if we can make it too much further tonight. Let's see how far we can make it. I still have about a half a drink to go.
Thank you, first of all, for what you do. You shouldn't have to put your life at
cringe.
risk. You shouldn't have to put your family's life at risk to simply stand up and do your job to try to protect my constituents
my
from a
God.
pandemic disease. And thank you for calling out this agenda for what it is, an attempt to score political points, to build a political power base around the denial of science and around personal attacks.
Literal
A denial of science? We're going to talk science now? We're going to talk
Fauci
that kind of
claims he
shit?
is
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Fuck yourself.
On you and your family. On social media, I follow many of
Do
President
not criticize
Trump's advisors
or
and
else you're trying
family
to kill
members,
us,
and they make a
you
sport
terrorist freaking piece of shite.
out of attacking you personally in some of the most vicious,
White
hateful,
Supreme Pete
ugly
Steps.
ways that are possible. And they do it because it gets clicks. They don't do it because they're legitimately engaged in a honest debate about the science surrounding COVID. Those
Senator
people
Murphy?
attack you because it
Show
gains them
me his
political followers.
investments.
Ugh.
Show me your
And so I
investments.
appreciate the
Yeah, I agree. Senator Murphy, what are you invested in?
Yep.
What are you actually doing yeah.
What are you invested in? What kind of
I got
contracts have
plenty
you
of
signed?
stories for my daytime shows coming up. Oh my Lord.
the fact that you're willing to stand up for yourself and
Don't
for
mind the
your
avatar.
colleagues who have been dragged into the political muck, not because
They're trying to mandate shit everywhere.
those that follow President Trump are interested in a honest science-based
No, because
debate
no one
about
else
how
on the
to
other
attack
side of the
COVID, but
political aisle or the other side of this argument are legitimate in any singular way whatsoever. That's what he's saying.
because
It's not about Trump. The Dems are
Those that
fucking
follow
stupid.
President Trump are interested
Republicans
in
hate Trump at this
honest.
point. It's not about Trump anymore. It's
No,
not.
right.
They realize how
Exactly. There's so
authoritarian
many
he
people
is.
that have
And
actually
they're
turned away from actually believing in Trump because of the one statement that he made at a rally where he actually said, "Yes, I'm fully vaccinated. You should do the same. But I'm not telling you what to do because I'm against mandates."
It's not about
science-based
that.
debate about how to attack.
There's an awful lot of people that actually kind of fell off because of his, because they
Well, I
forget.
mean, the reason
They
why they fell
totally
off
forget
his
about
wagon.
everything that he did when he was actually there as president.
Oh, I don't like him for what he did while he was actually there. But,
No,
I mean,
right.
if they're falling off Trump
I'm
train,
just saying
then that's
there's an
good.
awful lot of people that actually kind of like, they're like, oh no, I like Trump. Screw everybody, on the other side or whatever. I like Trump. I like Trump. And then Trump goes to the rally and he goes and he says what he says. And there's an awful lot of people that actually just dropped off and said, no, I don't want anything to do with Trump anymore because of what he just said. And they totally forget what he actually did when this pandemic started.
Yeah, they're jumping off for the wrong reasons.
Right. They're jumping off for the wrong freaking reasons. And they're just like,
But
oh, let's just go along
I'm
with
not going
it.
to condemn someone for jumping
then
off anyway.
their friends are following along with the flow because they're like, oh, that's what he did. Let's go and do what he did. And no, we don't
Yeah.
believe in Trump anymore. I mean, personally, I'd rather see Trump than anybody else in there right now.
attack COVID, but because they see
It'd give them something different to talk about as opposed to talking about this kind of crap, because they'd be directing all their stuff right at Trump.
political opportunity. So thank you, Dr. Fauci, for your work, for the panel's work, and for sticking up for yourself, which is not always easy.
Sticking up for yourself?
Dr. Walensky, I want to
Really?
take
You're a
my
good
time
little
to
sport.
just do a little bit
Thanks.
of an update on best practices for schools. I know we talk about this a lot here, but part of what I think is
Good for you.
frustrating for a lot of parents is that the guidance they're getting from their schools changes. And I get it.
Believe me.
Educators are sort of adjusting as the variant changes, as technology changes. But
A whole bunch of no shaking there.
what has changed since the last time? Has anything changed since the last time you were here about what you are recommending for schools to stay open? I appreciate what you said in the last hearing, is that schools should be the first places to open.
He looked
and
away
the
and
last
started
places
blinking.
to
He doesn't
close.
appreciate
Man, as
what
the
he's saying. He
parent
appreciates
of
them
two,
socks.
Public school kids, I couldn't agree more. The trauma on these kids
Believe me,
during
looks,
this
man.
pandemic has been significant, and the data tells us that especially for poorer kids and kids of color, distance learning just doesn't work. So I'm grateful that I've got a governor who's gone to extraordinary lengths to make sure that the federal dollars are used to keep schools open. But anything new that you can share with us about what you're recommending for schools to stay open for the rest of the year?
Thank you, Senator Murphy. And in fact, you took the words right out of my mouth. Schools should be the first places to open and the last places to close. We had a Delta surge in the fall, and 99% of our schools were safely opened. And one of the things that's majorly different between September of 2021 and today is we have pediatric vaccinations. We have vaccines that are available for every child over the age of 5, and the children who are in the hospital now are largely those who are unvaccinated. So first and foremost, one of the most important things that's changed is we should be getting our children and our teenagers vaccinated. And if our teenagers are eligible, we have boosters available for our teenagers as well. So we saw through the Delta surge that we were able to keep our children safely in school before we had vaccines. So now today, what do we have for our children? We have vaccines, of course, that we can use. We have school testing programs. We have new science that demonstrates test to stay. This is where a child might be exposed in the classroom, but if they're exposed, they don't have to stay home in quarantine. They can test every other day or twice a week and stay in the classroom safely. And what that has demonstrated is hundreds.
Just
You
keep jamming a
say that
swab
they
up
can
your
actually
nose.
go to school without a
What?
problem, even though they have the virus in them, as long as they tested
Negative.
negative within 2 days.
No, she said every other day or twice a week. So it's like, okay, you test like once every 3-4 days, but you go in and you can test on one day, and then 3 days later you start feeling symptomatic and you get tested. Oh, you're positive. You expose people throughout that time, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but
classroom,
the whole
but if they're
policy is
exposed, they
jacked
don't
up.
have to stay home in quarantine. They can test every other day or twice a week and stay in the classroom safely. And what that has demonstrated is hundreds of thousands of person days of children in school rather than at home. We have new science that has demonstrated the value of masking.
Hundreds of
3.5
thousands
times
of
increased
person
risk
days.
of school outbreaks if you're unmasked in school.
How many students are there in the school system?
That's a large number.
Hey Google, how many kids are in the school system?
On the website nces.ed.gov, they say,
190,
in fall
130.
2020, about 48.1 million students attended public schools in kindergarten to grade 12, including ungraded students.
So hundreds of thousands when you have 48 million. And you're talking about person days. Okay. I'm glad we're
For
trying
whatever
to
reason,
take
my
water out of
eyes
the boat with the
get
thimble.
distracted by this lady in the background with the gray curly hair, and the
She looks
eye
like, what's her name?
expression,
His name.
the eyes, just the expression in her eyes as this lady's talking is just like, I don't believe you.
Rather than at home. We have new science that has
There's a
demonstrated the value
wicked
of
crack in
masking.
my
3.5
right
times
over that chick.
increased risk of school outbreaks if you're unmasked in schools versus if you're masking in schools. And just this week, we updated our K-12 guidance so that it is consistent with our isolation and quarantine guidance for the general public, so that people can come back to school after isolation after 5 days.
Thank you, Dr. Walensky, for that and for your commitment to keeping our schools open. Final quick question for you, Ms. O'Connell. Talking about in-home tests, obviously a lot of focus on in-home tests today, but these are antigen tests. There's some interesting research going on about the ability to make PCR tests available at home, and there's companies all over the country, including one in Connecticut, that believe that with some additional investment to bring those tests to scale, we could get PCR tests into families' hands at home for a cost that is at or below what we're currently charging or companies are currently charging for antigen tests. Is that a possibility?
Senator Murphy, thank you. We share your interest, of
Wasn't it-
course, in seeing as
I mean, I know a really good company they could invest in for the PCR tests right here. I believe her name is Elizabeth Holmes.
What?
Elizabeth Holmes.
Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, what you talking about, bro?
She's
The at-home
the
tests?
Steve Jobs looking. She's the Steve Jobs looking woman who did all the blood tests, PCR tests, and stuff like that. That was all fake and fraud, and got
Jen
convicted like last
Psaki.
week.
Oh, it wasn't PCR. It was like it was a new
Oh, was it?
technology thing she's claiming that she was making, and
But
none of
wasn't
that
she
ever
doing
came to
PCR
fruition.
tests?
No, she didn't do
Theranos?
PCRs. I've nothing, and I've never heard anybody say anything about her doing PCRs because she was doing her own development, supposedly of her own little pill for blood testing, so someone could personally test their own blood or whatever, and she was allegedly developing this, and that never came into fruition.
Hold on one second. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. So PCR is a polymerized chain reaction. It's to detect genetic material of a specific organism. So it's testing for genetic material. Okay. I know that whenever she's doing the Theranos thing, they had testing and stuff, and they had a whole with things, and they kept, instead of having the machine run it, they had far more of the older stuff actually up back behind rooms and closed doors and shit, where they were actually doing all the stuff where people couldn't see it. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what was going on there.
I don't know all the specifics, but yeah.
Okay. Let's move on.
or below what we're currently charging or companies are currently charging for antigen tests. Is that a possibility?
Senator Murphy, thank you. We share your interest, of course, in seeing as many tests available for the American people as quickly as possible. And at BARDA have worked very closely
Only
with
after this
several
month.
of the manufacturers that you mentioned for these at-home PCR tests. We've contracted with one of them and have reached 5 million per month manufacturing capacity in contract with them, and continue to look at the others in ways that we can support them. I would also like to say NIH colleagues in a program called RADx, the Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics, are working very closely with many of these companies as well as they go through the development stages. So we remain very committed to the work that these companies are doing, and look forward to partnering with them as they begin to bring these products forward.
Thank you. Senator Collins.
Did she just say that 500 million? Did she just say 500 million PCR tests ready to get shipped out to people? But earlier she said 500 million rapid tests getting ready to be shipped out to people. Is that what she just
Many of
said?
these companies as well as they go through the development stages. So we remain very committed to the work that these companies are doing, and look forward to partnering with them as they begin to bring these products forward.
Thank you.
I'd also like to, and continue to look at per month manufacturing capacity in contract with them, and continue to look at the others in ways that we can support them. I would also like to say NIH colleagues in a program called RADx, the Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics, are working very closely with many of these companies as well as they go through the development stages. So we remain very committed to the work that these companies are doing, and look forward to partnering with them as they begin to bring these products forward.
Thank you. Senator Collins.
This might take us a couple nights to actually get through this.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking because
shout.
it's 4 hours, so it might take us 2 nights to get through it. But we're only an hour and 16 minutes out of the 4 hours.
Yeah,
So
there's just a
this
lot
might
of
take another
discussion.
2 nights.
Yeah, it's a lot of discussion.
It really is. There's a lot to actually go through, a lot to actually talk about,
Unpack, understand,
right?
figure out what the hell they're actually saying.
Go back and listen to them again. What did they say? How did they say that? Why did they say that? When did they say that? That being said, let's. I'm going to write this down so I don't lose my spot, just in case. We're at an hour and 16 minutes and 43 seconds. We're going to actually stop listening to what these people have to say, because as you can tell, one person's tired. I'm getting there. I have another sip of my drink left.
I've sobered all the way up since I've been on stream with you guys. I had a full margarita and like half bottle of tequila, and I'm sober now.
We're going to do this real quick. So let's actually go counterclockwise. Grims, you want to go ahead and show yourself out?
Yeah, you want to watch some video games? You kids like some memes? Go check out my channel.
Absolutely, go watch Grims Bar's channel. He's got lots of good, fun stuff or whatever. I laugh at most anything that he produces over there. Other than
my channel's under attack.
It's fantastic.
My channel is under attack. I've got. It's not only under attack by Susan, but it's under attack by moles in the Discord. I need your support today. I've already had a warning and a strike because of fucking moles in Discord and Susan and their antics. Save us. Also, copyright trolls. They're attacking my channel. Save me from copyright trolls. That's all I gotta say.
Jimmy YouTube, you're up.
For sure. You can find me here at YouTube you can find me here on YouTube at Jimmy YouTube, or you can find me for some amateur art on TikTok at the Atlas Pass, or you can find me on Twitter at RealAnimeRich.
Shirts?
You should totally go to, and in fact, you have no choice but to go to AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com. That's AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com. The most based t-shirts on the planet. You can get 15%
there now.
off any shirt in the store by using the discount code Koolfrogg. So go check that out, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourself a base T-shirt. Because Fauci is an ass, and everybody should know it. Well, he's more than that.
Wait,
But,
what about mail balls? Nah, that code don't work no more. Channel had to get redone.
So then, if you'd like to support me, you can support me simply and easily by going to buymecoffee.com/Koolfrogg. That's KOOLFROGG. I have plenty of links in my link tree. I have Teespring. You can order T-shirts. You can do just different things. There is going to be another T-shirt that's going to actually be up within the next few days here. Me and my wife are actually working on a few things to see what we could do to actually get some more stuff on the Teespring. There's so many links that run underneath that link tree. You'd be surprised what you actually run into if you like different things. Totally help us all out. Do what you can. Don't forget to share, like, and ring bells on anybody's YouTube channels. America's Shirts really does have the best shirts that are out there. Normally, I pull up his website for him. We're not going to actually do that right now because we're
and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
here
the
I got
domain
something
has
that's
been officially transferred. Everything is okay and cool with that. So that's
oh,
all
you're good. You're good now.
Yeah, he's good. He got himself fixed. We've been talking about him for the last all through last week or whatever, trying to get him fixed. So he did get himself fixed. He's got a good website that's actually legit. It will actually.
So the other place wasn't really that great, or get that all figured out?
No, it's the same thing. I just transferred everything over to a different
transferred
host
to another
because the host wasn't giving me protection. So the previous
he does not have the protection. I went to go and log into his website just to check it out, and it actually immediately asked me if I wanted to accept cookies and whatnot from his website. So he got his stuff fixed.
Oh, good. Yeah, because they kept asking me that like over and over. It was actually annoying.
Yeah, he got his stuff fixed. He's actually in good standing on that website. Make sure you hit him up and buy a shirt from him. If you help me
get the message out there
and actually personally help me and actually do whatever you can to help me, eventually, and I haven't set a number on it yet, but eventually, as soon as I get enough followers, I'll actually turn on a camera as opposed to actually being anonymous, and I'll actually wear America shirts online and we'll actually have some fun with it. So it's something that's in the works. I really don't know how or when or how long that's actually going to be.
I'm sorry.
So that you can actually put a face with it as opposed to just looking at an avatar. But
what did your bot do? It says, "Whoa there, the owner Koolfrogg server has requested that the Discord block any message that are mostly accurate."
What?
Robots deemed to be explicit, so your message has not been sent. Okay.
What's going on?
Your bot in Discord blocked something. I was getting ready to send
My bot in Discord blocked something?
Yeah.
The only bot that I have really active is the subscribe start one, and I don't know what I have its limitations to, so.
Here you go. I'm gonna send this to every one of you manually. You know how
God, that's hilarious. That's fun.
So last night Ricada was going off. He's like, "Quit sending me pictures of fat chicks." Blah 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 blah. And I said because you asked.
And as too, you get this one. That's funny. Thank you, folks. Everybody say goodbye.
Later, peeps.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Later.